First, tonight's invocation.
Let us pray. Everlasting God, today is but another gift that you have given us. We pause now to thank you for it and for the many other blessings we freely enjoy. Tonight, as these daring men compete, may your protection lie upon them. And may those who support them do so with skillful hands and clear hearts. We thank you for the great privilege of living in this nation, and may all that we say and do bring honor to your name. Amen.
Here to honor America with the singing of our national anthem, please welcome 16-year-old Midlothian, Virginia native, Sophia Nader.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Thank you.
You happy with that?
Good.
Pull that word go back here a little bit, will you? Thanks.
Tower management.
Carmen.
Catch combo. Then we'll play it by ear.
Yeah, and then I toss it to
If you'd
Larry.
like to lead Larry, that's great.
I know if I don't, you'll cover me.
No problem.
Yeah, good, thank you. Hey, you might, can you move this to the right side? Because I'm going to be angled a little bit.
We will.
Hey, Bear. Yes, yes, wonderful.
The Commonwealth of Virginia, a place synonymous with American history. The mother of presidents, home to 8 of our former commanders-in-chief. From the lush green hills of the Blue Ridge Mountains from which many battles were fought, to the early American architecture and infrastructure still evidenced throughout the cobblestone streets of Richmond. Often called Old Dominion or the Cavalier State for its early loyalty to the English crown, this year it was a different kind of Cavalier ending up with the crown. Wahoo-wah! Through all the clashes on the court or in the battlefields, one thing stays the same. Virginia is for lovers. This is Virginia.
Aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Win your battles, earn your name. Goodyear, the official tire of NASCAR. What a sight that is right there. Richmond Raceway. We've been waiting all day for this, right? The anticipation, drivers in their motorhomes, going through appearances. What is the energy level right now for these guys?
Well, now the energy is as high as it can possibly get. They've got the helmets on, as if you see Kevin Harvick strapped into his race car. They are ready to go right now.
Yeah, normally once you get in the car, everything, like for me, would kind of calm down. You're done signing autographs, you're done doing all the photos. Now it's time to focus on what's going to happen tonight.
Time to light it up under the night sky and light it up inside the race cars. Let's go trackside for commands to start engines at Richmond.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here to give the command, please welcome our Grand Marshal, proud owner of a 2016 Toyota Tundra and VIP customer of Mechanicsville Toyota, Jay Riley.
Drivers, start your engines.
Richmond Raceway. This 3/4-mile track is the 3rd short track on the schedule. Brad Keselowski took the checkers at Martinsville. Kyle Busch picked up his 3rd win of the season at Bristol. Last year at this time, Kevin Harvick was dominant, but tonight still looking for his first win of the year from the pole. Virginia's native Denny Hamlin looking for his 4th career victory at his home track. And will this finally be the one for Martin Truex? He's come oh so close at Richmond. Perhaps the 19 will find victory lane for the first time on a short track. Saturday night short track racing at its finest on Fox.
short track racing.
Yeah, baby.
Well, welcome to Fox's coverage of the Toyota Owners 400 as they roll off from pit road. Welcome to the broadcast booth. Mike Joy with Hall of Famers Darrell Waltrip and Jeff Gordon. All of us grew up at Saturday night short tracks, and just what a rich history this sport has when you race in the middle of the weekend under the lights. But at the top level of the sport, it is very different. Darrell, what's the key to surviving 400 laps here?
I talked to a bunch of drivers, Mike, and they all felt like tire management. That the driver that doesn't make his tires mad, and it's easy to do, they say you got to feel, you got to ride that edge, but you can't go over. Take care of those tires tonight. That's the key to winning, I think.
And the number 18 Joe Gibbs Racing team is red hot right now. Driver Kyle Busch, man, he is in the zone. So who can stop this guy right now? Well, look no further than our pole sitter Kevin Harvick. Had a super fast race car last week, followed that up with another one this weekend. I'm looking forward to seeing these two battle it out for NASCAR supremacy, and I think it begins tonight. Larry?
Yeah, Jeff, a big story is 8 drivers, including 4 that qualified in the top 10. After failing post-qualifying inspection, their time was disallowed. Now, they have to correct the problems with their cars before they could race, but it's like they were not even here last night for qualifying. They have to start at the rear of the field, and they lost the premium pit selection. And, Mike, they will be like men on a mission going to the front.
Going to be a bit of an uphill climb, and you'll see them at the end of our Toyota starting grid as it scrolls across the bottom of the screen.
What do you say we dial up our pole sitter? Kevin Harvick, it's DW. You got a copy there, my friend?
Yes, sir.
All right. Last week, the week before at Bristol, you said you were a little lacking in speed. But last week, that car was fast, made up 4 laps. You're on the pole tonight. How's it look for this race, buddy?
Well, Darrell, I'll tell you, our Mobile One board we had one good run in practice because that was the only run we had. The car was a little too loose. We made some adjustments on it from there. And, I think there's still a lot of unknowns with the rain and all the things that have happened overnight. So with a new tire and all the unknowns, I think you're definitely going to have to adjust on your car at some point throughout the race. And we gotta get started so we know where to go. But really proud of everybody on our Mobile One 4 team, and hopefully we can have a good night.
All right, brother. Well, good luck. You got the best seat in the house. That'd be a good place to stay.
10-4, buddy. Thank you.
Let's get down to pit road for late-breaking stories. Matt Yoakum.
Mike, it's a good problem to have if you're Kurt Busch, having to readjust your goals nearly every week. He unloaded the best he has all year. It showed in qualifying. If you look at Kurt's trends, his first win for a new boss throughout his career came on a short track, but it's never taken place here at Richmond. Maybe that changes tonight, Jamie Little.
Well, Ryan Blaney's still knocking on the door for that first win of the season, but now he comes here to Richmond Raceway. It's his toughest track. 27th is his average finish here. And his crew chief, Jeremy Bowens, told me he's a hammer man. That means he's hard on the gas at racetracks, and he overdrives the corners here. He told me the car is good, and if they can get their driver to have a little finesse, tonight could be their night. Vince Welch?
Martin Truex Jr. has led the most laps at Richmond the last 3 races here, only to be left with disappointment at the end. Tonight, well, he's pretty confident. In fact, he laughed before getting in the car about all the ways in which they have failed to win at this racetrack. He knows they've had speed this year, fast enough to win, but still haven't been able to get it done. Maybe tonight's the night. Oh, by the way, he's 0 for 80 on short tracks. Boy, it would be extra special if Martin Truex Jr. could get that win here this evening. Mike?
Thanks, Vince. The Cup Series drivers did a 4-wide salute to the fans as they rolled past the grandstand in turn 2. And now we get ready to rumble in Richmond. Tonight's race is 400 laps. It'll be contested over 3 stages, 100, 100, and the final stage of 200 laps, 40 miles an hour down pit road. Fuel window, about 110 laps, grip level 2 on a scale of 1 to 5. And because of the overnight rain and the green racetrack, a competition caution at lap 40. They cannot fuel until the competition caution. Rondé Barber, NFL star and now Fox analyst at the wheel of the Toyota Camry XSE pace car. That's a sharp left turn, Rondé. I don't know what the play code is for that.
Omaha.
But there he goes, and here we go.
You got it, buddy. It's going to be an exciting night, folks. Get on your feet. Let's send these guys off. Wait, say, boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, boys.
Kurt Busch, power move on the outside to slot into second behind Kevin Harvick, the pole sitter.
Mike, we were down on pit road. A lot of these drivers are really concerned with as little time as they've had on this racetrack, and it being a green racetrack right now and those air pressures being low. They're real worried about that splitter hitting the racetrack and sending them up the racetrack.
Yeah, Kurt Busch, we talked to him and his car. I mean, I don't know how he kept the splitter off the ground, but it's almost touching. But he said that's the way the car really runs the best. He likes it.
Fourth place, Martin Truex fighting his teammate. Kyle Busch trying to hang on to fourth, and they go single file.
No contact here early between, I believe, Bubba Wallace and the 88 of Alex Bowman off of turn 4.
Take a look at it and see what happened here between the 43 and the 88.
Now you can see Bubba Wallace is right on the rear bumper of the 88. I saw a little nudge going in the corner, loosens him up. Then the 13 of Ty Dillon comes in there and gets the 43 of Bubba Wallace sideways.
Oh, you just jack him up and back him up.
That's right. It's casual contact. You got to see that all night long on this racetrack.
Well, looks like no harm done.
Mike, I talked to a lot of the guys, and the inside groove right now, start of the race, seemed to be the preferred line, run the bottom of the track. I know that Kurt Busch said you would know which line was the fastest, whichever line Kevin Harvick took. He took the inside.
Chris Buescher off to a great start. Sixth place, and there's some not 4 wide but 3 wide action back in the pack. Here's Buescher, who has climbed from 7th. He is 6th. Paul Menard right behind him has jumped up 2 spots on the break.
Boy, man, you got to give Buescher a tip of the hat. Now, this cat, the last several weeks, has qualified well. He's raced well. He's been real close to having some great finish. Had a few problems here and there, but that kid is really doing a nice job in that 37 car.
And these guys that had those penalties from qualifying and inspection started in the back of this race, and they are 3 wide. They are dicing it up to come up through there.
Working past Jeb Buescher in the 51. Here are the cars whose qualifying times were disallowed and had to start in the back and lost their choice of pit selection.
Mike always liked the leaders at the line. Now there goes Harvick, and right now Jimmie Johnson is a half lap down to our leader, who's in clean air. So that leader's going to come up the back of the field pretty quick.
Yeah, they're going to use, you talked early in our open about using up the tires, so they've got to be real careful here. They're trying to get through traffic as fast as they can so they don't get a lap down, but that's going to use up those tires.
Probably the driver most disadvantaged is that yellow and black number 20, Erik Jones, by his car not being compliant through inspection. He lost the outside pole starting position.
And I guess the one thing we got to remember, and that's probably why these guys are being as aggressive as they are, it's only 40 laps here because of that competition caution.
And you already see contact on the left rear of that 42 car, Boyer in the 14, but you see contact to the left rear tire. On the 42, you see all the lettering rubbed off of it. So he's already gotten up against somebody and rubbed the letter off his tires.
And Darrell, we were down there on pit road. We saw the sidewalls, how crinkled up they were because they're on such low air. And because of that, you got to be real careful here in the early stages making contact with somebody because it can make that left rear tire go down.
I think that was the construction change that we saw. They say it's the same compound we've always run here on the tire, but they made a construction change. And I think those sidewalls are what we're seeing cause and effect.
Out there, pumper. Still out there.
Erik Jones in 27th.
Still out there.
Racing Matt DiBenedetto, carrying our Toyota owners cam tonight.
Well, they said Bristol where you run 15-second laps, but I tell you, you can click off some laps here in a hurry.
Big lead for Kevin Harvick. 1 3/4 seconds, your biggest movers. Up 9 spots, Daniel Suarez and Erik Jones. Matt?
Mike, Erik Jones told me the strong part of his race car was just how it rolled to the center as Kyle Busch takes that position away from Logano. He said his concern, though, as you guys documented, having to be patient enough with a great race car trying to navigate his way through traffic.
And I think what we saw with Kyle Busch in the 18 car, air pressures are so low. I walked by the cars, the tires look flat. So it takes about 8 to 10 laps for those pressures to come up. Then you know what you've got. And I think Kyle Busch has got a pretty good race car. We just saw him go around the 22 car of Joey Logano.
Teammates going at it for 25th. Erik Jones, Denny Hamlin, the hometown hero.
Yeah, these two, along with some other cars that started further back, they've been a lot of fun to watch. How they've been able to navigate traffic, how they've been racing as hard as they've been racing one another. You saw right there the brake rotors on the right front of the 20 of Erik Jones glowing. That's how hard he's using the brakes right now.
Suarez and Jones each up 10 spots from where they started. Kevin Harvick has led every one of 14 laps so far. Herbert Chumney, Mike Barefood. Who made this up? 23 laps complete in Richmond, where 5 Toyota owners from the area are paired with a Toyota Cup driver. The driver with the highest finish tonight will claim $10,000 from Toyota for their owner. And they're all out here trying to win big for their Toyota owners tonight. The Busch Brothers, just like we finished up at Bristol last Sunday, here they are battling not for the win this time, but for second place. Jamie.
Yes, definitely keep your eye on them tonight. But Kyle Busch picking up where he left off last week with the win. His car has been good. Remember, he dominated here at Richmond, winning both races. Well, Adam Stevens, his crew chief, told me they brought a very similar setup, and the way that they unloaded today was very close. And he said that is the key to winning here. You don't have time to make a lot of adjustments. They like the pace of the 18 early on.
And Mike, you want to know how much he likes this racetrack? In 27 starts here, you know what his average finish is in 27 starts? 6.9.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yes. Now, Jimmie Johnson's had trouble moving up from the back of the pack because of inspection issues early. He's in 25th right now. He has to lift for Denny Hamlin in front of him, and he gets a little help right here from Michael McDowell.
You can see probably the air off of Denny Hamlin's car is taking some downforce off of Jimmie Johnson. He slides up in front of the 34 and then contact.
Everything okay there, Matt?
Great example of the condition that Jimmie Johnson's fighting. He says he can roll the center okay on the bottom, but he doesn't have much grip anywhere, hence sideways on corner exit.
And Matty, it's showing up so bad. Now, he in a 9 car, very similar. I saw the 9 car doing the same thing. Corner exit, back end snaps out, and they just can't stay in the throttle. It's cost them a lot of time.
And I think this is going to be one of the biggest challenges these teams are going to face tonight throughout the field, but especially these guys that started in the back, is that there's going to have to be a lot of adjustments. Now the rubber's on the track. Now the balance is changing and you're in traffic. Watch for these guys to make some big adjustments on pit road.
27 laps in, 32 of our 37 starters on the lead lap as Kevin Harvick keeps picking them up, putting them down, and lapping slower cars.
But he better look in his rearview mirror, because right behind him is Kyle Busch in an 18 car, closing fast.
All right, Jeff, 12 laps to the competition caution because of overnight and early morning rain. What do you need to learn about your car in these 12 laps so you can make the right adjustments?
Well, what's interesting, Mike, is that it's about these last 10 laps that they're going to run is probably the most valuable, even though they're in traffic. I think the switch, the change, and how much it's shifted, maybe loose to tight, I think that's what a good driver and good team knows how to look at what the conditions are and how to adjust for them.
Snug center, next chunk lapper should be bottom.
Kyle Busch has caught Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, you just saw Kevin Harvick getting the gas a little bit too much off of turn 2. The back end steps out. He's now moving up the racetrack, and boy, the 18 of Kyle Busch just flies right on by.
Kyle Busch made up 2 seconds from when he took second place from his older brother to when he caught Kevin Harvick and passed him.
When you're hot, you're hot. That cat is hot.
9th place, Ricky Stenhouse, Brad Keselowski. Vince.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. said he just needs a little bit more stability in his race car right now, so they'll make that adjustment at the first stop. You know, he was 23rd and 13th here last year, and they were a team that feels like they just need to have a good, clean race tonight, and if they do that, they're going to feel it's successful. They feel like they'll get a good finish, but getting a good, clean race. Remember, lap 2 at Bristol, they were done.
Thanks, Vince. Kurt Busch ran second. He's now dropped to 3rd. What's he thinking as we close on the end of this first run and the competition coming at lap 40?
I mean, the car, I think, might be coming to us a little. Those guys are able to hold the center a little better now, but our rear won't keep up with that action. We start off loose center out. Right now, we're rolling tight through the center.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. And Kurt Busch is one of the best at describing how a car is reacting in entry, middle, and exit, breaking down that corner, and that's great feedback for him. And it looks to me like the number 4 of Kevin Harvick is really loose right now.
And Jeff, he just gave Matt McCall the most important information. I don't know that it really matters what the car did at the beginning of the race, because to you and DW's point, no rubber on the racetrack. I need to know what it's doing now, but to me, this is where experience and having a notebook about this racetrack, the trends at night, are so important.
Here's 11th place. Thanks, Larry. Clint Boyer and last year's Rookie of the Year, William Byron. Boyer started 14th, Byron 13th. They moved ahead of Kyle Larson and Alex Bowman. 4 laps and everybody gets a break.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure they're all going to be pretty happy except for one driver, and that's Kyle Busch.
Pretty sure I know one guy that's tongue's hanging out right now, and he's got to run a marathon on the Monday, is Jimmie Johnson. He is hanging on to that thing. It is so loose.
Fortunately, he's got 5 cars behind him, Darrell, that are still on the lead lap.
Oh, he's going to be all right. They're going to make it to the 40-lap break here, but boy, he's got to they got to do some major changes on that car.
And this is one of the unique racetracks where you think when the sun goes down and the track cools down that the track will tighten up. I've actually seen where the drive-off actually gets worse here at night.
Yeah, I talked to Rodney Childers down there about that. He said it's a total opposite of what you'd think. If you're loose, you're going to be real loose. And if you're tight, you're going to be real tight. But here's the thing, Jeff, it's the same for everybody. You know, everybody's got 750 horsepower. Everybody's got the same aero package. There's so many similarities between these cars, but then the driver and how you set them up makes all the difference in the world.
That's something else I really love about this racetrack is how you can change your line and adjust the car from inside the car as a driver. You see Chase Elliott going in high and then cutting real low on the exit.
Wow, Kyle Busch just let Corey LaJoie drive, or no, not Corey LaJoie, let that car drive right around him. It is LaJoie,
yeah.
And he will stay on the lead lap depending on when this caution flag waves after 40 laps. Here it is. You don't know. Well, I'm so surprised because when was the last time you saw anybody pass Kyle Busch?
I'm sure it was a major mistake.
No, I think it was a nice gesture.
Well, it certainly was. No question about it.
So Kyle Busch is our leader. This is NASCAR's competition caution. So the teams can make adjustments having to run a green racetrack, we call it, when it has rained all night and into this morning, and even a bit of sprinkles this afternoon. So at this point, 30 cars are on the lead lap, counting LaJoie, and it gives Landon Cassill the free pass. This was the Atlantic Exposition Grounds in the 1950s when they started racing here on the half-mile dirt. The track progressed, was paved, became D-shaped, and was enlarged to 3/4 of a mile. But it's always been a great place for NASCAR racing. Tonight's Ford Performance Track Facts. Brad Keselowski was the last Ford to win here from the pole. That was in the fall of 2014. And Jeff Burton won here by 5/100ths of a second in '98. Let's go to pit road.
Truex Jr. pitted from 5th position, right where he started, his best starting position of the season. It's just too tight. 4 tires and an air pressure adjustment. Jamie?
Didn't take Kyle Busch long to take the lead. Said he was a little loose on this start, but about a number to a number and a half tight rolling. Matt?
And Mike Morneau has already made the adjustment on Harvick's car. It was just way too tight. He said he almost had to park it in the center of the corner to get it to turn. The 18 has already gone by, so is the 22 of Joey Logano. He was a 4-wheel drift into the corner and on exit. Air pressure adjustment.
Kyle Busch the first off pit road. Harvick retains 2nd place. Logano and Kurt Busch. 42 laps under caution. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Toyota Owners 400 is sponsored by Monster Energy. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Toyota Owners 400 is sponsored by Monster Energy, official sponsor of NASCAR, and by Toyota. Let's go places. Let's go racing. It'll be 46 laps complete when they come around, and the green flag will be in the air. Kyle Busch, Kevin Harvick, row 1. Logano and Kurt Busch. Truex and Menard. Buescher and Dillon. Bowyer and Keselowski. The top 10. We're back under green.
Whoa. Out of cover here. Watch your middle, watch your middle. They're trying to get in there. There's one lane. Still inside, bottom covered.
Boy, that 18, I mean, he shot out to the lead.
I was going to say, they just shot some rockets off at NASA. And I think somehow Kyle Busch got a hold of those rockets, because my goodness did he launch off that restart.
Austin Dillon stuck in the middle of a 3-wide that still is, now it finally breaks up.
Mike, I talked to Austin Dillon down there a little earlier, and he said, keep an eye on me tonight, DW. This is the best car I've had at Richmond in a long time. So keep an eye on that 3 car.
I didn't think Kevin Harvick was expecting to be battling for 4th place right here with Chris Buescher. What an awesome run he's having. Following it up from last week, too.
Vince.
It's interesting. Chris Buescher says this isn't one of his better tracks. As crew chief Trent Owen says, we don't ever typically run well here. Could have fooled us, huh?
Oh, boo-hoo.
they really had some momentum last week at Bristol, and they have carried it over this week. Rolled off the hauler, pretty sporty, and they're continuing tonight.
They are.
Trent Owens, he's a pretty sharp little crew chief, too. He's had some good runs over there with the Petty Bunch at one time or another.
All clear, you're fine. Just looking inside.
Little crossover move by Kurt Busch to Clint Bowyer.
Fighting for 6th.
I mean, these guys know one another pretty well, know their driving styles, been racing one another a long time. But remember, they were teammates over there at Stewart-Haas for a few years.
I love
Kurt
it.
Made that move.
I love it. It's a Chevy against a Ford, a Mustang against a Camaro. I like those rivalries.
They've got Paul Menard right with them in that bright yellow car of the Wood Brothers.
Nice from Menard, running 8th right now. Doing a nice job so far. I know we're early in the race, 51 laps, but keeping the pace up, that's important.
Matt?
Mike, Richmond really suits his style. He's a rhythm driver. You give him a few laps, he gets into a rhythm. He's really showing it right now, as you mentioned, currently running in the 8th position. Very little adjustments on that stop, just a slight air pressure change to kind of help him roll better through the center of the corner.
Riding with Ryan Preece, the rookie, former NASCAR modified champ. Mark Kroger onboard camera. And just ahead of him, you're the bug on the bumper of Denny Hamlin's Toyota.
I don't know if Denny had some issues on that pit stop or the restart, but he was ahead of all these guys at the end of those 40 laps, and now he's having to battle with them and get back by them.
He's in 25th spot. I think a lot of guys would say, if I follow Hamlin, I'm probably going to have a pretty good night. Right now, though, I'd have to rethink that, because he's way back in the field.
Listen to that. So much off throttle time here to roll the corner.
But you could see the glow of that brake rotor on the 43 car, how long it keeps glowing into the corner. You use a lot of brake here into turn 1, and you carry it all the way to the center of the corner.
And Mike, that sound the engine makes, that gets in your, that's the rhythm you're looking for. You know when that engine gets to that certain RPM, time to let off. When it gets down in the RPM, time to get back on the gas. You list that engine, it tells you what it wants.
That's David Reagan's Mustang, now behind Hamlin in 25th.
And a lot of people say, oh, DW, these motors don't talk. Yes, they do. That thing is barking at you right now.
They sing.
They sing a song.
Kyle Busch, your leader in a Toyota. Joey Logano's Ford, 1.1 seconds behind. Here's Team 22.
Take care of yourself. You're walking away slowly but surely from the 19. Car overall, it's better to start here. He's got a little bit better drive off than me. We got a little better turn than him.
43 laps to go in stage one. Kyle Busch leading by 1.2 seconds. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Toyota Owners 400 is sponsored by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR, perfect for race fans. 65 laps complete. You were looking at Ryan Newman there. Here is Kevin Harvick battling Chris Buescher, 4th place. So move Harvick up to 4th. 2 Toyotas, 2 Fords in the front 4. Buescher is the first Chevy in 5th.
What I liked about Harvick off that corner, though, he got back on the throttle, stayed in it. So he's got pretty good forward bite. We heard him complain about it being a little tight in the center. Maybe get that out of it, he'll be all right.
Well, and maybe, he's made a big enough adjustment on that pit stop to try to make that car good on the long runs, but it gave up a lot on the short run.
Yeah, and what I see with the 37, he's pretty good in the corner, but he has struggled a little bit off, and you see here Clint Boyer's closing up on the back of Buescher now, so he's going to get a by him, I'm thinking.
And it could be the exact opposite of what we just saw with Kevin Harvick. He may have a really good short run car with Chris Buescher, good on these restarts, but he might fade if we go a long ways here.
Speaking of fade, brakes are always an issue here. Here's Paul Menard.
He's got a lot of temperature, but he's got half the opening. That's why it's hard to read. They're way taped up. Yes, a lot of glow in his wheels.
Good job. Your drive off is better than the 2. He definitely beats you into the center. He's using a little more brake right now. He's got a little more or less cooling than we do. You've got lots of cooling.
Oh, come on. Give me a break, Larry.
We always go to Martinsville and we think about brakes, but I think we underestimate them here because of the corner entrance speed and not a lower gear to slow you down. So we're going to use our Ford Performance Cutaway car. Look how the rotor's glowing. Rotors will get up to 12 to 1300 degrees Fahrenheit, the pad temperature alone can be over 1,500 degrees. So how do these teams cool them? You heard them talking about the openings in the front end. You have this fiberglass opening with these 3 hoses right here that pumps air to the eye of the rotor, and then you have fans under caution that blows that air as well. Now you may wonder, why do the front rotors glow and not the rear gloaters? Well, there's 2 brake systems, a front and a rear, and they crank a little more pressure to the front, and there's a lot more loads. And guys, you were talking during commercial break, what I get concerned about with an ill-handling car that's using too much brake in a long run, cooking that tire bead.
Yeah, that's what I worry about, Larry. Everybody's brake's going to glow. You see that just about across the board. But if you get them too hot and you blow out the bead on the tire, that's a big concern.
Daniel Suarez up to 12, 3 spots since the restart. 7th place race. Brad Keselowski catching Kurt Busch, Jamie.
Yeah, we had the 1 practice session on Friday, and Brad did not practice very well. And I talked to the team. They said, we are not concerned. Brad typically doesn't practice well, but he races well here. And they said the reason he is so good at Richmond, he's easy on the throttle, easy on the brake, and easy on the tires. So he's taking his time, using a lot of patience here. And the 2 just saying he's a little loose in and off, and they made a wedge adjustment on that 1 stop.
Well, those 2 are working hard. They're about to catch Chris Buescher for 6th.
But what Jamie was talking about, being easy on the gas, easy on the brake, easy on the tires, that's skill. That's a feel that you have. And some guys have a feel for a racetrack, some of the tires and the whole package. And I think Brad Keselowski is one of the best at what his car is telling him he needs to not do or do.
Yeah, I agree. Brad Keselowski is one that's really good at. I think of Denny Hamlin, why he's been so successful here at this racetrack. Another one of those that really works on drive off and being really easy on the throttle. Saves those rear tires.
Erik Jones just made that pass on Kyle Larson. That puts Jones up into the top 15.
Jones has a really good race car. I mean, he started all the way at the back, and of all those guys that did start at the back, he's been able to navigate his way forward better than any of them, and he continues to move forward. I think he has something to say before this day is over, night is over. Great run right there off of the top side, off of turn 2 as he tries to make a move on Ricky Stenhouse.
Ricky Stenhouse in the 17, falling to 15th. Kyle Busch just had a moment lapping Michael McDowell. Finally did get by him without incident. He holds a 2.5 lead over this yellow car of Joey Logano. Matt.
Mike, Joey Logano always produces when he comes to Richmond. 9 top 10s in his last starts here. He's looking at the 18 car, comparing it to his. He was telling his team that Kyle Busch has got much better drive off the corner on exit, but the 22 car is really going through the center of the corner much better than Busch.
Logano 2 wins out of the last 5 spring races. You're watching the battle for 6th place. Chris Buescher trying to hold off Kurt Busch, and you'll see it all as we go side by side on Fox. Welcome back to the Toyota Owners 400, where Kyle Busch is in command. He's been out front for 56 laps. Joey Logano 1.5 back. Martin Truex third, 2.5 back. Kevin Harvick and Clint Boyer, the top 5. 14 laps to go in stage 1.
And Mike, I think we hear these drivers talking about what other drivers' cars are doing. And you might say, well, what does he care about what somebody else's car is doing? Because the crew chief and the people down in the pits, they monitor each other. So if he's telling them what's wrong with that guy's car, what are they going to do to fix that car? Maybe that'll help me fix my car.
Matt DiBenedetto about to go a lap down here. And that 6th place battle still rages between Kurt Busch and Keselowski.
1 and 2.
Yeah, once the tires starting to fall off here and the grip goes away, that outside groove is all. Once you give that up, it's almost impossible to prevent that car from making that pass, as we see Brad Keselowski do right there.
Still there, 95.
You can see right here. Here's the opposite of that. Our leader, Kyle Busch. You can see him really spin the tires underneath the 95 and Matt DiBenedetto as they go by the 66 of Joey Gase.
Now he's trying to lap Ryan Preece. Heavy traffic here in the backstretch.
Okay.
Daniel Suarez from the back has worked his way into the top 10 with a pass of Alex Bowman. Quite a run from the back of the pack. Let's check in with Regan Smith.
Well, Mike, we talk about how tough it is to pass on the racetrack and how much easier it is to pass in the pits. Daniel Suarez on the lap 40 pit stop came in 19th. His pit crew picked him up 15 spots. Adversely, the 20 car of Erik Jones, he came in 18th and went out in 18th. Right now, those two cars are running 14th and 11th. The difference has been strictly that pit stop. One good pit stop can be a huge deal for moving up through the field as this race progresses on.
And he's picked up 5 more spots since that restart.
And that pit crew is going to make all the difference in the world when we get into maybe the second stage and the third stage, the final stage, when they have to come down pit road under green.
As long as if it's air pressure change, that's all they got to do, and they'll have to put a wedge wrench in the car. They can knock out some 12, 14 second, 13 second stops. You know, Mike, we used to complain when we first went to this air gun. Remember, we were 14, 15 second stops. We're right back now where we were 2 years ago.
So Jimmie Johnson has now moved up 6 spots since the restart. Monday in Boston, he'll run the marathon on Patriots Day, and his jersey number will be 4848. He'll go off in wave number 2.
I mean, this guy, he's unbelievable. The way he has been training for this, and just what he does to stay focused on what he does behind the wheel of the race car, but then to take on the Boston Marathon. He's never run a marathon ever. I think he's run almost 800 miles this year just preparing for this. So to come here and run a night race here in Richmond and then take on that challenge, pretty unbelievable what he's capable of.
Now, the third Monday in April has been a state holiday in Massachusetts since the 1890s. It has nothing to do with Tom Brady, but they call it Patriots Day, celebrating the Battle of Lexington and Concord that began the U.S. Revolution. And they've run the marathon on that date since the late 1890s.
You race here tonight and you run all the laps. 1 day of rest is not enough for me to go to Boston running the marathon.
All right, we'll listen in on Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, and Martin Truex.
Yeah, so the balance started out really good to fire there. I felt really good about it. Burns real good.
Thanks at Patriots for this time. About a 1+ pace at center. Not forward drifting though, just get tight.
The field blower right rear stood up, taking off, which helped me a bit, especially the first third. Still need help center and 2/3.
Well, the biggest thing I heard was how calm Kyle Busch was. I mean, he is just in command of this race and in command of that race car right now. And of course, that clean air out front, not right now when he's in traffic, but as he started this run, makes a ton of difference to really know what your car is capable of and the grip that it has.
I think that's what makes him successful, is he doesn't panic under pressure.
All right, the pits are closed with 2 laps to go in stage 1. Daniel Hemrick in danger of going a lap down here. Daniel Suarez has done a great job getting into the top 10. Chris Buescher has run this entire stage in the top 10. So has Paul Menard.
Buescher's got a really good car, Mike. He really looks good. Haven't seen it slip much.
Yeah, I actually think they might be able to give up a little bit on that short run and make it even better on the long run.
Coming around to complete lap 100. Kyle Busch powers around to his 5th stage win of 2019.
Tell you somebody else that really looked strong at the end of that run, Mike, was that 22 car. He was catching Kyle Busch a little bit, so he might be somebody to keep an eye on as we go on down the road here.
Kyle Busch, stage 1 winner on the short track at Richmond.
Just a foot or two, nothing special. It's here and it's available today at your local Chevy dealer. The all-new Silverado. The strongest, most advanced Silverado ever. End of stage 1. Kyle Busch, your leader in Richmond. The FIFA Women's World Cup kicks off this June. All eyes will be on Alex Morgan, Carly Lloyd, and the U.S. women's national team as the defending champs head to France, looking to win an historic 4th World Cup. And all the matches will be live here on Fox and FS1. Pit road is open. Here come the lead lap cars. Vince.
Martin Truex Jr. pitting from 3rd. The team adjusted this orange tape in the front of his box. They wanted Truex to come in a little bit closer to the wall. It's still a little bit too tight. They're going to make a chassis adjustment for Truex. 4 tires and a little bit of air pressure. Jamie?
Kyle Busch has now led over 500 laps this season. He's a little thirsty behind the wheel, wants a Gatorade and some ice and a tear-off so he can see clearly. A 4-tire stop. Got a little tight, Matt.
And Logano and Harvick second and fourth. Logano says the balance not bad. The corner entry much better, but it's still tight through the center. That's where he needs the team to focus on. For Harvick, his car is just pushing badly. No improvement on that last run. More adjustments for the four.
Kyle Busch retains the lead coming off pit road. Logano, Truex, Harvick, Bowyer. And 9 of the top 10 positions remained as they were entering the pits, with Daniel Suarez falling out of the 10th spot.
We say we dial up our stage 1 winner. Hey, Kyle Busch, Jeff and the guys up in the Fox Sports booth, you got me?
Yes, sir.
Well, man, you only led 75 laps. I'm just wondering what kind of adjustment you need to lead anymore. But, man, you guys are just red hot right now. What is it about this place that makes you so good, that you're so comfortable with here?
I don't know. It just, you know, I've kind of taken to it over the years, I guess. And, you know, I've had some pretty good crew chiefs and guys that have helped me be able to get around here real well. So, you know, our M&M's Camry right now is fast. Just keep making some minor tweaks to it. Keep trying to just keep up with the racetrack. We know how there's ever-changing conditions every week. So just some of that stuff that we got to do to make sure that we can keep ourselves running up front here. And we'll see what happens, you know. Long ways to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you and Adam Stevens are impressive right now. Keep it up. Good luck.
Thank you, man.
Kyle Busch, your stage 1 winner, looking for his 3rd straight victory at Richmond. Getting ready to restart. Let's look at the Xfinity fastest pit stops. 4 Goodyear tires, a tank of Sunoco race fuel. Kyle Busch's team, 13 seconds. They've led this category most of the season. Alex Bowman right there. That's how he moved up to 10th spot on the pit exchange. And Ryan Newman, third on that list. Now here's Chase Elliott, who had to make a second stop under this caution.
It must have been left side tires. He didn't feel like they were tight, because that's what they did. They tightened the left side wheels and sent him back out.
Heading for the Geico restart zone to begin stage 2. Busch, Logano, Truex, Harvick, Boyer, Keselowski, Kurt Busch, Buescher, Menard, and Bowman, the top 10.
Covered. No push. Top side. Still clear up. Two was trying to get there. Still clear up. Still clear. Got one.
Wow, a lot of 3 wide.
Yeah,
all clear. All clear.
I really believe that 22 car might have something for our leader, Kyle Busch. Car was really looking good at the end of that last run.
Yeah, we'll see if Joey and Todd Gordon can make some of those adjustments that he talked about, what he saw out of the 18 car of Kyle Busch, and maybe make a gain on that car.
Ryan Newman and Kyle Larson had contact. Here's 4th place.
Yeah, they're still 3 wide.
There's a lot of contact back in the pack here. A lot of contact.
And there's why.
Holy smoly. Oh, here he goes.
Oh, Larson tried to clutch, slam down on
Daniel Hemrick.
Left rear tire up.
They're definitely going to have to bring that 42 car down pit road. I don't think that tire's going to make it much longer.
No, that thing won't. No, there he goes up the hill. I think he needs to come into pits, because they're going to be in big trouble if he doesn't. It's going to be worse than just sliding up the hill.
He tried to cut down on Hemrick entering the corner, and that hole was not there, and now he cannot get to pit road.
Still inside.
I'm just telling you, she's not going to last long.
Larson was 17th when that all started.
Half back. Back inside. Back to top of 3 again. All clear.
There he
all the
comes
way,
to
half
pit
back.
road.
Got to,
It's
man.
a smart move.
Here, coming to you this time.
Well, let's go back to how that all started as Kyle Larson finally makes it to pit road. He's the 42. Center of your screen.
Yeah, this is going into turn 3. Boy, Daniel Hemrick really drives in deep, trying to get position on the 42. You can see the 12 of Blaney. He sees it coming. He locks up the brakes, trying to stay out of harm's way.
And Almirola in the 10 tries to take advantage. Ryan Preece had a great view of this. Here it is.
Outside. Stay low, stay low. All good, all good. Keep it coming. 3 wide. You're 3 wide. 3 wide, 3 wide bottom. 3 wide bottom. Watch your bottom here with the 43. Still 3 wide. Still 3 wide.
And DW, that's what we talk about, short track racing. No give, and a lot of take.
Yes, sir.
And that was a perfect example of that right there.
Vince?
You know, one of the issues, guys, for this 42 team all season long, breaks just like this, the bad ones. They have not been able to, seem like, catch a good break this season, whether self-imposed or otherwise. Talking with crew chief Chad Johnston before the race today, and he said, we've hardly had a race at all where we haven't had some sort of an incident. Early stage 2, already an issue.
Well, I tell you something else too, Vince. They've had a good car a couple of times, but that car's not been that great too. And I think Kyle is trying to make up the difference a lot of times, and you're going to get in trouble when you're driving over your head a little bit with a car that's not operating the way you want it to.
Trouble right now is Larson is just shy of going 2 laps down to race leader Kyle Busch.
The other thing is frustrating for a 42 car. The 1 car is running great. Kurt Busch is running great, and that's got to be frustrating, that 42 bunch.
How about Clint Boyer's radio, 6th place?
Sometimes you hook it and it's just effortless. Like goes right around there. Next time you're burping the gas, doing everything you can do to try to get it to jump back around to the right rear. It's like once it hangs on the right front, it's just there. It looks like a rocket ship through there, but when it gets paid, it's just an average lap time. I want to be average. Neither. We'll keep working on it.
Kyle Busch out front after 121 laps as the brakes glow on a Saturday night in Richmond.
One in the fence, up in the...
Sure. We're under caution in Richmond for the third time tonight. Kyle Larson has had one trouble-free race this season. This is not it. This is coming down the front straightaway into turn one.
Well, we knew he'd just come in and taken left side tires under green because he had that issue. And right here, I'm just wondering if they didn't get that fender clear or something caused the left rear tire to actually blow and turn around.
Yeah, you could hear it, engine rev up, the tire went down, and then it spun it around. It's going to be a pretty hard lick, guys.
We're in the wall, guys. Hard. You all right, Cal? Yeah, just having a blast this year. A lot of fun.
Boy, you can just hear the frustration and just how defeated right now Kyle Larson is. And I don't blame him. It's just been one of those years where nothing has gone his way.
And this all started back when he made a move to the inside on Daniel Hemrick. And when he started that move, he was clear, but Hemrick dived into the corner, and it was just two cars trying to fit into a space big enough for one.
Yeah, and I think it actually started earlier than that. On that restart, somehow he got himself into a position where he was 3 wide. He tried to get out of that by driving deep in the corner, and Hemrick, you know, had other thoughts of driving in even deeper.
And they threw 2 left side tires on it, Mike, and you know they probably didn't probably beat the fender out as far as they should have, or maybe it was still, I don't know what happened there, but you know, they in and out of the pit pretty quick. They didn't get a lot of time to work on the car.
Well, I believe, Larry, by going straight to the garage instead of pit road, are they done?
They are done. Yeah, once you go to the garage area with any type of body damage, that's pretty much the end of your race. So they'll be loading that 42 car up. The one thing I want to watch here is we still have 24 cars on the lead lap. We have 70 laps to go in this stage. They ran about 16 or 17 laps. I think they'll be coming and getting them 4 more Goodyear tires here to try to run it out to the end of stage 2.
Oh, you can be assured some of them are coming, right, Larry? Because the tires just mean way too much. I think maybe all of them.
Here come most of the leaders, Vince.
Yeah, Martin Truex coming for sure. Still not happy with the balance of their race car. Said it took off rear that time, but it's still tight in the center and that 2/3 exit point. So air pressure adjustment and 4 tires. Jamie?
And Brad Keselowski's joined the top 5 now, saying his car's a little bit freer with the clean air, but getting some brake shake as well. A 4-tire stop. Your leader, Kyle Busch, said he's losing overall grip, just 4 tires for him. Matt?
And Joey Logano wants Todd Gordon to keep focusing on making the car better in the center of the corner. The rotors were looking great there. Just a slight air pressure adjustment on this stop for the 22. Lugg's going on the left rear, and he's away.
Kyle Busch again wins the race off pit road. This time Martin Truex is second, ahead of Logano, Harvick, and Boyer. Third caution flag of the night. This one takes Kyle Larson out of the race.
Where we're supposed to go all blue. Fucking green.
The only thing I did better. I just got to my reds faster, you know? So, I guess we need to move the point. I don't know.
Yeah, 10-4. I mean, it's hard saying without seeing the two that we did without incident. I don't know.
That should be this.
Well, this changes everything. Kyle Busch too fast exiting the pits, section 13. That's well after he launches down near where his brother's car is being pitted. So Kyle will start last car on the lead lap with Ryan Preece, who had an uncontrolled tire. Busch is going to have to come from 24th as Truex and Logano start up front.
And Mike, I might tell Barry Landis to keep a camera on that 18 car, because he will put on a show coming through the field.
Well, we know how good he is and how good his race car is, but we're really getting ready to find out.
Martin Truex is not waiting around. He's taken his Toyota to the front with Logano's Ford. And here comes Kyle.
You know what I like about Kyle? I tell people all the time, it's the wow factor. He does things you say, wow.
On your left, fourth place, Keselowski outside of Boyer.
Mike, keep an eye on this 18 car, but we're talking about our leader up there, Martin Truex Jr. He hadn't led many laps this year. I think he's only led like 17, 18, 19 laps this year. And if he hadn't had pit trouble here, like 3 or 4 races, he even wrecked on pit road one race here that kept him from winning. So he is a very dominant car at this track if he can just get through this race without any problems.
And Darrell, to back that up, I think the last car that the 18 team wants to see up here leading this race right now and starting to get a hold of this race is this 19 car, because I think he's probably the biggest threat to Kyle Busch winning this race.
I think you're right.
Well, he has the same equipment. They are teammates, new teammates this year. Now Joey Logano in second, 8/10 back, and in third. Kevin Harvick, so dominant 1 year ago. Right now, though, Harvick looking for his first win of the season. Here's a look at tonight's Driving Trust, sponsored by Duracell.
Yeah, Mike, this is Kevin Harvick's 19th season in the Cup Series and his 6th at Stewart-Haas Racing in that 4 car. Rodney Childers has been his crew chief all 6 years, and together they've won 22 races, including a total of 8 last year. They made the championship 4 out of 5 races, and won that 2014 Cup Series championship. Tim Fedewa has been Kevin's spotter the entire time there at Stewart-Haas Racing. Tim was a driver and has starts in all 3 of the NASCAR Top Series and actually won 4 Xfinity Series races. Rodney Childers also was a successful late model racer. I would say with those 2 guys, Kevin feels like he's racing with Duracell Driving Trust.
This is the #1 trusted brand.
You're riding with Kevin Harvick down the back straightaway at the 3/4 mile Richmond Raceway. Brand new infield, lots more fan access, a big party porch in turn number 4. But a rough night for Kyle Larson. Here's Vince.
Indeed, Mike. Kyle has been checked and released from the care center here. How do you describe what's going on with this team and the amount of bad breaks that you guys continue to get?
Just a lot of bad luck, really. The restart just got kind of crazy. I think I was in the middle, and I don't know who I got into, but I got some left rear damage, and we had to pit to pull the fenders out, and just didn't do a good enough job pulling the fenders out, and still had tire rub when I went out and got it flat. So been a pretty crappy start to the year. We've had decent speed. We didn't have great speed tonight, but the weeks that we've had speed, we still run into issues. So just hate the start to the season I've had, but hopefully this break came at a good time and we can regroup and try and come better, or try and come back better with some better luck. So hate it for McDonald's and Credit One Bank and everybody who helps out on our team, because it's not been fun. So like I said, hopefully we can turn around and get some better luck.
5th straight finish outside the top 10, Mike.
Thanks, Vince. Meanwhile, his Chip Ganassi teammate, Kurt Busch, in 6th place.
Yeah, and Mike, you know, to me, I know luck plays a big part of racing, but you make your own luck. You make your luck by having fast race cars, qualifying well, executing well on pit road. And to me, you know, when I look at some of the things that have happened to that 42 team and Kyle Larson, some of it has been self-induced. And he mentioned it. He got himself into an awkward position on that restart. And then, you know, that's sort of what started what I would consider maybe bad luck.
Riding with Denny Hamlin right there behind Ryan Newman. Matt?
Richmond, always a good place for Hamlin, a 3-time winner. We documented they started at the back of the field. They've been working up on it, making some adjustments here or there. The car, though, still on the tight side. And he says the last run, it started out decent and then swung to the tight side again. So it's a work in progress on that 11.
His teammate Kyle Busch nabbed for speeding on the pit stop, restarted 26th, tail end of the field. He is now fighting Chase Elliott's Chevrolet to break into the top 20. Saturday night under the lights, wouldn't this be a great time to
crank it up?
Yes, it would.
Woohoo!
Brought to you by Progressive.
Tight pull. Still there. Quarter, run to mid, coming back full. Still there. Still there. Quarter, nose, clear up. Clear, clear. Clear, outside, outside, outside. Clear, clear, outside. Clear about 2, getting in. 1 back front of the 10 side. Clear, clear, clear. Half back, slowing you on the bottom. Move up tight with you, 1 lane down. All clear, straight back, half back. Clear, clear. Half back bottom. Closing up a little bit inside, inside. Hopefully helps any. I don't think so. I think it helps a little bit. Flippy. I saw when he moved up. 52 bend staying high for everybody. Still there, right rear. All clear.
.45 to go in stage 2. Martin Truex Jr. leading Joey Logano by 7/10. Brad Keselowski has caught Kevin Harvick for 3rd place. Truex, Larry's now been out front for 23 laps.
Well, Mike, we talked about a green racetrack and a track transitioning into nighttime, and these crews would have to get very aggressive with changes. We've got our Eagle system, and we went back and reviewed these 3 pit stops that Martin Truex Jr. made to pit road. And the first 2 trips there, Cole Pern, very aggressive with changes. Now, this last trip to pit road, there may have been some air pressure changes, but they did not touch the track bar or wedge boat. So it's almost like they've got it close now.
Vince?
Not just close, Larry, but spot on. Martin just radioed to Cole, and he said it is way better this run.
Clean air may have a good bit to do with that. Truex has it. And Kyle Busch struggling to get up into the top 20. He's rebounded to 19th place, but it's Truex, Logano, and Harvick. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Toyota Owners 400 is sponsored by Geico, official partner of NASCAR, and by Credit One Bank, the official credit card of NASCAR. Perfect for race fans. 35 laps to go in stage 2. Watching Kyle Busch, 18th, battling Ryan Newman on our aerial coverage provided by Goodyear. Win your battles, earn your name. Goodyear, official tire of NASCAR.
Mike,
Jamie.
I'm sorry, Jamie, go. Sorry.
Well, Ryan Blaney's had some issues tonight. The adjustments they've made have made the car worse. Now he's saying he believes he has a right rear going down. His pit crew is ready and on the wall for him to come down if it gets worse.
He's had some contact there on the right rear. There's some fender damage.
This is not his best racetrack.
It's not his best racetrack. He just doesn't have a good feel for this place. Wow, Suarez sideways does a great job of not making contact with the 37 to Buescher.
Now Erik Jones caught and passed these two as they battled. Matt.
Taking over that position in the 8th place. Earlier this week, Mike, I had a chance to sit down and talk to Daniel Suarez on Race Hub just about the stellar start to his season, and he pointed just about the leadership but also the chemistry between himself and crew chief Billy Scott. Then you throw in about how the entire team is coming together, giving him tremendous confidence, and you saw it tonight. Stellar stop on pit road. He gained a bunch of spots. They still keep trying to work on the balance of the race car, especially on exit, still a little bit free.
Looking at 15th place, Alex Bowman, Eric Almirola. They traded a little paint a lap ago here.
Tell you
this
what,
is turn 2.
I think if that 10 car keeps working on him on the 88, he's going to need some of that insurance. He gave him a pretty good bump right there. 88's had his hands full, Jamie.
He really has, and his arms are full because he said, it's been since stage 1 that he felt like he was getting a power steering issue similar to what we saw Chase Elliott have last week. Just really hard to turn that wheel. So he's definitely falling back. He was in the top 10 all the way up to 8th, and he's falling back a bit.
Yeah, Jamie, they might need to look at pulling some tape off that front grille. We saw where last week one of the issues with the 9 car was that it was overheating, especially under caution. And so they pulled some tape and really helped Chase Elliott get to the end of that race.
Mike, I was going to say about 18 car. You see here, he's behind the 88 right now, trying to get by these two guys. He's up 9 spots. But this race is so reminiscent of last week for the 18 car. Remember, he spun on the first lap, went to the rear of the field. We didn't talk much about him until the end of the race, but by the end of the race, he was the car to beat.
Well, you know from growing up at Owensboro and the Nashville Fairgrounds, and Jeff, in your early years Saturday night racing, there was always one guy. And if he was behind you, you'd always look in your mirror until he caught you. And then would you fight him for the spot? Up where I lived, it was Richie Evans in the modifieds. Everybody had one. It might have been Dick Trickle. Whoever it was, when that guy was coming, everybody gave him a lot of room. Here, it's Kyle Busch.
Well, when a guy like Kyle Busch runs you down from a straightaway, it's pretty demoralizing.
Yes.
And you realize that you don't have a dog in that fight. You just say, you know what, go on. Maybe I could follow you and learn something and make my car a little bit better.
Yeah, I see his stock rising as the night goes on.
Great drivers are patient until they get around other people. And then they lose all their patience.
Now see, Darrell, the difference I see between last week and this week is Kyle didn't have the best car. Those guys did an amazing job capitalizing when others, came down pit road there at the end. But this week, I think he has the best race car.
Mike always prayed for patience, but I just want them now. Just give it to me now.
Martin Truex has won on short tracks in every other series in which he's raced. In Busch North, in what's now the Xfinity Series, where he's been the champion of the series. Just can't get a short track trophy in the Cup Series. Here's a look at his career. 80 short track starts.
That's amazing. 80
2 runner-up finishes. And the last 5 Richmond races, in 4 of them, he led the most laps, just not the last lap, Vince.
Well, and I talked with Martin about this before the race tonight, and he said, it'd be one thing if we just weren't very good here, but we have been good at short tracks and especially good here. And we mentioned he's led the most laps here the last 3 races. They should have won multiple short track races, including multiple races here. They feel like their time is coming because they've just been too good for it not to happen.
Well, in the history of NASCAR since 1949, of all the drivers that have competed, no one has led more laps on short tracks without a win than Martin Truex in all of NASCAR history. Maybe tonight. Let's go side by side. .15 laps to go in stage 2 at Richmond. Martin Truex Jr. His Toyota leads Joey Logano's Ford by just about 1 second, with Kevin Harvick third. Brad Keselowski and Clint Boyer the top 5. Let's go 3 wide, sponsored by John Deere. We've talked about Martin Truex, who has now led 53 laps in this race. That more than doubles his laps led for the entire season coming into Richmond.
Mike, I just think that team, I think Cole Pern and Martin Truex, I think they're just learning the Joe Gibbs culture.
And hats off to Paul Menard. Boy, he's been hanging tough all night long, doing a great job managing those tires. They've been solid on pit road and in that 10th position.
On the right, Kyle Busch had a speeding penalty during the caution at lap 128. He's about to catch Aric Almirola. That's the car just ahead of him, which is the 15th place car. But it's sure not as easy working your way back up through as it has been to lead this race, which he did for 103 laps. Now, at the start of this race, there were 8 drivers whose qualifying times were disallowed because their cars were non-compliant in today's inspection. And of those, Erik Jones has rebounded best. He's been in the top 10 most of the night, as has Daniel Suarez, once working his way up to the top 10. Currently 7th and 8th. Jimmie Johnson now 13th. Denny Hamlin, Almirola all in a row. Then Chase Elliott and Matt Tifft and Joey Gase.
And just so we're clear, all those cars worked on their cars to be compliant and get through inspection the second or the third time through to then get out there on the racetrack. Well, we were talking about Blaney earlier, how just not a great track for him. Really struggling here tonight while his teammate Joey Logano's in second. Brad Keselowski's in fourth place. He just has not figured this place out. And he and Jeremy Boland's really struggling with the grip tonight.
I believe I'm correct. Stat boys will tell me if I'm right. I think his average finish, Blaney's 27th at this track. I mean, it's not a good average at all.
And 9 laps shy of halfway. He's in danger of going a lap down.
And I almost look at this racetrack similar to Martinsville, another one of those short tracks where when you haven't found your rhythm and found something that makes you comfortable, you can really struggle here. Jamie?
And rhythm is what he struggles with here. He's just hard on the gas and hard on the brakes. That's just his driving style. And Jeremy Boland's told me that's why this place has been their worst track. And DW hit the nail on the head. 27 is Ryan Blaney's average finish here. And just a note on that right rear tire, they had that damage, but it worked itself out. He's been able to stay out. They haven't had to pit to replace it yet.
Thanks, Jamie. Well, last week we had Kyle Busch and Joey Logano going side by side for the lead, multiple laps, and here comes Logano after Martin Truex for the lead.
Well, and you got to understand, Martin Truex Jr., he's the one that's had to get to all these lap cars first, so he's got to work a little bit harder. They're usually a little bit easier on the second, third place, and other cars that are coming up to lap them. But you can see the back end of his car is pretty loose. Talking about Martin Truex Jr., I think he's starting to wear those rear tires out, Vince.
Well, and that 12 car in front of him has gotten awful wide to help out his teammate, and that 22 car in the 19 camp has not gone unnoticed in that group, I can assure you.
No, and Vince, that 22 car, I watched in the first go around here, the first 100 laps, closed up to the back of the 18. This time he closed up to the back of 19, made the pass.
Did you see the big slide off turn 4 there? Martin Truex trying to stay with Joey Logano. Now Logano, with 5 laps to go in the stage, not really in a position to cut Ryan Blaney much slack with Truex right there. We'll see how this stage plays out.
I'd say the right rear of that 19 car might be worn out or used up.
And I think a lot of these guys are really struggling with rear grip. You saw even Ryan Blaney was completely sideways. I think they're all feathering that throttle, just trying to keep those rear tires connected to the racetrack on exit.
And Joey Logano is driving away.
Yeah. He had the best car, Mike, on the long run. I just didn't think he had the time to get there before the stage ended, but he definitely has the best car in the long run.
And he had one other obstacle in his way at the time. That was Kyle Busch. He's not there now, but he's coming.
Oh, he'll be there before the night's over, I believe, because he's still got a very fast car, Kyle Busch does. Kyle up to 15, so he's starting back, and he's slowly but surely getting back to the front. And then they'll have a pit stop, and his crew will knock out about a 12-second stop, and he'll be in 3rd place.
How about Daniel Suarez fighting Kurt Busch for 6th place?
Very impressed with Daniel Suarez tonight. This is a tough place. He's doing an excellent job.
The pits are closed with 2 laps to go in stage 2. And Middletown, Connecticut's Joey Logano, the reigning champion of the NASCAR Cup Series. 1 to go in stage 2. He won both stages here in this race last year.
Mike, this is a classic slow down and go faster racetrack. You back off a little early, try to pick the throttle up nice and gently up off the corner, and you'll make good time around this place.
Good fight for the final stage point as Logano gets the green and white checkers to win stage 2. Here's Austin Dillon coming into the picture on Paul Menard.
I think the 21's going to have the advantage by being on the outside, carrying that momentum to the line, and he does. You see a little damage on the right rear quarter panel there on the 3 of Austin Dillon.
Paul Menard holds off Austin Dillon and William Byron for that final stage point. Joey Logano is your stage 2 winner. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Toyota Owners 400 is sponsored by McDonald's. Drive-through participating McDonald's to get any size soft drink for $1. Joy included. We're under caution at the end of Stage 2 in Richmond. This fall, Fox becomes the new network home of WWE's SmackDown Live. Catch all the action every Friday night beginning October 4th. Only on Fox. Pit road is open. Joey Logano will lead. Martin Truex, Kevin Harvick, Brad Keselowski, Clint Boyer, and the rest of the lead lap cars in. Vince?
Yeah, Martin Truex Jr. pitting from second after leading 61 laps, and he just burned up the rear tires, sliding the rear. It's still free in, tight center, and free off, but it's better than it was earlier in the race. Jamie?
Brad Keselowski said he needs some drive off and noted that the brakes got better as he ran. Pretty good overall. Matt?
Joey Logano says typical Richmond, he needs more drive at the beginning of the run, but as it transitions, then it goes to the tight side, so he needs more help in the center of the corner. The same thing with the 4-car Kevin Harvick. He says drive is not an issue at all. Center turn is. That's what he needs more adjustments.
Logano handily wins the race off pit road. Paul Menard up 3 spots, as is Austin Dillon.
We say we want to talk to Joey Logano and see how he feels.
Yeah.
Hey, Joey Logano, DW Meddy, congratulations, won that stage. How you feeling out there?
Not too bad, man. Just my boys just did a good job keeping this clean air. That's going to be key here. Taking off seems like you kind of get stuck a little bit, so until the leader catches traffic. So hopefully this helps us. We can clear to 19 here on the start, hopefully, and be able to manage this race a little bit. So got a good Mustang right now. Just got to keep it rolling.
Well, 10-4, thanks for talking to us. Yeah, it looks like a really good long run car, so keep up the good work, buddy.
10-4, thank you. Have fun up there.
Joey Logano, your leader. And Stage 2 winner as we get ready for Stage 3 to take us home in Richmond. The Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series Toyota Owners 400 is sponsored by Ring.com. With Ring, you're always home. And by Progressive Insurance, revving up the savings on home and auto insurance. Getting ready for stage 3. Larry, almost 200 laps you're going to run now. What's your plan if this goes green?
Well, fuel-wise, you can easily do it on one stop. We're going to go back racing here with roughly 190 to go. That would be about 95 per run. But we may see some teams try to chop it up in thirds and go about 60 to 65 laps a run. I would not be a bit surprised to see some teams do that, Mike.
All right, here they come to the Geico restart zone. Ryan Blaney got the free pass. He is back on the lead lap. 24 lead lap cars, and we're back under green.
Keselowski's thinking about it. I think he's going to get there.
He's looking on the outside. Ah, that's tight.
Wow, 3 wide.
Something's got to give. And it was Harvick in the 4.
Well, you could see the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. I don't know if his car's on the splitter into turn 1 or just doesn't really brake well on low air pressure. So he just didn't drive in the corner very deep and opened up the door for Brad.
When you said that, Jeff, I just saw sparks fly off on the 19 as he went down into turn 1. So low air pressure, you're probably right. Riding on that splitter a little bit.
Daniel Suarez trying to get some grip up off on the bottom of the corner off of turn 4 underneath the 3 of Austin Dillon. Got real sideways coming to the line.
Suarez number 41 in 7th. Now, an interesting pack of cars are the Hendrick Chevys. The 4 of them all restarted right together. Back about 15th on back. That's where William Byron is in the 24. And they were 3 wide.
Yeah, Jimmie Johnson's all the way down on the apron.
All 3 of them.
That's not a good Monday or Tuesday meeting right there at Hendrick Motorsports.
But I tell you what, one guy that has made a huge improvement in his car from the start is that 48 car. He's done a pretty nice job of getting his car tightened up. I know he's only running 17th, but he was looking pretty bad when it started here.
Yeah, remember, until that penalty through inspection, he did qualify 10th, so he showed some good speed even in qualifying.
Well, here's 10th place right now, Kyle Busch and Chris Buescher, who continues to impress.
Yeah, Kyle Busch cannot get around Buescher. I mean, he's been trying for the last 3 or 4 laps. They've been side by side, can't clear him.
And we've seen Buescher's car is extremely good on the short runs, so it does seem to fade as he gets more and more laps on those tires. But I think Kyle Busch has his hands full with him here for at least the short run.
He does. Buescher not giving up.
And Buescher's got that preferred outside lane right now. I think Kyle Busch right now is going, wait a minute.
Who is this guy?
This guy is hard to pass.
Yeah.
Erik Jones coming right with them, battling his teammate, Denny Hamlin. And you go up a few cars, you'll find the 3 of Austin Dillon up in 6th place, Vince.
Yeah, it's been a good run for this 3-car, and Danny Stockman, the crew chief, has been making many adjustments on it as they go to try to stay ahead of the track. And to Larry's point about maybe breaking this segment of this stage up into thirds, Stockman just told Austin Dillon, give me 65 good laps here. And that would lead you to believe they're going to do exactly what the crew chief, Larry McReynolds, suggested.
And Vince, you won't believe this, but Austin grabbed me by the arm when we were down there doing a pre-race show and said, DW, watch me tonight. I have got a good race car. So pretty confident bunch right now in that 3-car.
And that's great information by his crew chief to tell him how many laps they think they're going to run, because that's how you manage that wheel spin and those tires throughout that run. You know that if it's a really long run, you're going to have to take it real easy at the beginning.
Here's the first side-by-side battle on the track. 12th place, Chris Buescher trying to hold back Erik Jones, who's following right in the tire tracks of his Joe Gibbs Toyota teammate, Denny Hamlin.
And agree. And remember, Hamlin has been way back in the pack, and now we found him up here in 11th place, Matt.
And Chris Gabehart, his crew chief, told me before the race, he knew they had their work cut out for them. They've been trying to find that Hamlin line, which he likes here at Richmond. 3 wins, but Denny's saying he simply is having difficulty passing people. The car just trending more on the free side on entry. and they've been making a track bar adjustment the previous stop to try to help the tight in the center. You can see he's on his way to the top 10.
Now those Gabeharts, they're short track racers. I drove Gabehart's dad's car in Louisville, Kentucky at the fairgrounds way back in the day. So he loves the short tracks, and he's really good on setting the car up for this kind of racetrack. So watch that 11 car.
So that's 3 of the Joe Gibbs Toyotas, 10th, 11th, 12th, while the other one, Martin Truex, sits in 2nd.
It's funny how the complexion of your leaders are your leaders. They've been, these 4 or 5 guys up front, but the middle of the pack, it all of a sudden, it's funny how halfway through the race it starts to change, transitions from guys you didn't talk much about. Here they come.
Right now they're talking about Joey Logano, who's out in front of Martin Truex by 1.3 seconds.
Inside.
.168 laps to go. Joey Logano leading Martin Truex, Brad Keselowski, and Kevin Harvick. Now the Toyota owners in the Toyota Owner Driver Challenge get to watch the action from their driver's pit box. This is Mike Barefoot on the pit box for Martin Truex, trying to win that $10,000 from Toyota if Truex is the highest finishing Toyota at the end of this race. The Busch Brothers battle.
They're used to battling on these short tracks. We saw it last week.
Matt?
Last week, he was one of 3 guys in the top 26 that didn't have some kind of issue. He almost walked away with the win. Right now, though, he's got his hands full. He said that the car starts out just too loose, but then it goes severely tight around the apex. They adjusted for it the last time. It hasn't improved, Jamie.
Well, Kyle Busch, a 6-time winner here, had that pit road speeding penalty, shuffled him to the mid-pack, and then at lap 218, he entered the top 10. Now that he's 9th, though, he's telling his team, I just can't go anywhere, I can't pass, I feel like we're all the same speed right now.
You're right, Jamie. On the watch, they're within about 2 or 3 tenths of the leader, but he is not as fast as the leader right now.
Yeah, and I was going to say, Mike, just a few laps ago, to Jamie's point, there's the top 10 were all running 21 or 23:30s. I couldn't believe it's like throwing a blanket over him as far as times go. So yeah, going to be really tough for Kyle Busch to pass all those cars and get all the way up there to Joey Logano. He can do it, but it's going to be a task.
I still like what Kurt Busch said down there earlier when we were talking to him. He said, I was going to adore him. He said, I was going to adore him. He said, we don't have Thanksgiving dinner anyway. And he was serious.
I'm sure he was. How about a quick word from Duracell?
This is the #1 trusted brand.
There's your leaderboard with 163 to go. 24 cars back to tie Dillon. On the lead lap, Ryan Preece in the free pass position, and here's 3rd, 4th, Keselowski and Harvick.
Harvick's got a good car. I think he's just hanging in there right now. He doesn't have the best car, but he has a good car. Maybe they can get it better before the night's over.
Now let's watch this telemetry here on the left of our screen for Kevin Harvick. Doesn't get full throttle till all the way out at the start-finish line. And watch the brake pressure. You see how he has to taper it down until he's all the way to the center of the corner. As soon as he starts to roll out of that brake, the front end cuts. Now he gets back to the throttle, but still not wide open till you're all the way out on the straightaway because of that rear tire grip going away so fast.
And 132 down the back and almost 140. Got a big D-shaped front straightaway here, so almost 140 going into turn 1 down there.
Brad Keselowski's number 2 trying to hold off Kevin Harvick. Here's Jamie McMurray.
Yeah, guys, I've been watching Brad Keselowski, and on the restarts, everybody's fighting to get to the bottom, but Brad has made up a lot of ground on that outside lane. And at Richmond, the corners, the white hash marks in the corner, as the rubber builds up on those, they actually get grippy, and Brad has used that to his advantage. I think that's also helped him a little bit in lap traffic with being able to move up and get runs off the corners.
Boy, it hadn't been. I've watched trying to see somebody move up the middle to upper part of the racetrack. Nobody's gotten off the bottom.
Turn 1, car on the wall.
Whoa, big lick.
Hard hit for Michael McDowell.
My gosh.
And that'll put us under caution at lap 243.
Okay.
See that.
McDowell was 26th.
Right rear blew out just over the tunnel right there.
You can see it on the screen there. The right rear is definitely blown out.
So this is probably going to look kind of similar to what we saw in the 42 of Larson. That was a left rear tire. This is going to be a right rear tire. It looks like he may have had some contact with the wall prior to that. Maybe that cut that tire down.
I'll show you this in progress.
Yeah, a lot of smoke.
Hate to see that when a car goes in driver's side, but since the advent of the safer barrier, things are much better than they used to be here.
Makes all the difference in the world. I mean, hitting that safer barrier and bouncing off of that. Used to hit the concrete, just never moved. I never was able to get a piece of it to move. Yeah. And I tried a number of times.
But yeah, if you take the seat technology and the padding inside the race car, the structure of the race car, as well as that safer barrier, just a huge difference in how it takes away from that impact. You can see Mike McDowell desperately wanting to get. I don't think he knows what the back of that race car looks like right now. He's desperately trying to get back to pit road.
He wants to drive it away. Ryan Preece will get the free pass, and he will get back on the lead lap. That'll give us 25 lead lap cars when we restart.
You know that caution you said Kyle Busch needed?
He did, but think about it. He started 11th on that restart, only got up to 9th. So, yeah, he's going to need some cautions, and he's going to need that pit crew to get it done, and he's got one of the best ones to do it.
So, Larry Mack, we're only 44 laps into this final stage of almost 200. Is it too early to come?
No, sir. 31 laps on your tires. It will be feeding time on pit road.
Okay. Well, let's check in with the studio. We're under caution in Richmond.
Hey there, Mike. So we have had 4 different leaders today, but we have had some very impressive runs by some guys. Austin Dillon was a guy that you've been keeping your eye on, right?
Austin having a nice run. He's worked his way all the way up to the 6th position right now. One of those guys that as these races go on, it seems like he gets better and better and better. That's him and crew chief Danny Stockman doing a nice job working together, adjusting on that race car.
He was on the show this past week, and he said this was a place for a long time, didn't really get it, but he has connected lately. Daniel Suarez, what about Suarez? Starts in the back of the field today because of inspection issues, and boy, he's been right there in the top 10.
Yeah, I mean, Stewart-Haas has 3 of their 4 cars in the top 10, but Suarez started in the back and has gotten better throughout the entire race. Now he's running in 8th place. He's a really good car today.
All right, pit road is open. Mike, back to you.
Thanks, Shannon. Michael McDowell has made it around to pit road, and here come the leaders. Vince?
Martin Truex Jr. pitting from 2nd, said it's still too tight in the center. That's really been an issue for them throughout the course of the race. The good news is it had a little more rear grip. It was in the track a little better in the rear. Jamie?
Brad Keselowski's car's been good. No adjustments last time, but you see it there. A wedge adjustment, a 4-tire stop, a little too free overall for the 2. Matt?
And Thomas Hatcher and Zachary Price, the changers, going to work on the right side of Logano's car already around. He says his concern is the car getting much tighter, especially in traffic. Meanwhile, Harvick on the left side of your screen, much better this run. He says the car coming to him.
Martin Truex picks up the lead coming off pit road.
Man, some of those cars look like they're going awfully fast.
154 laps to go in Richmond, and we have a new leader.
I think Richmond is a great short track for NASCAR. It's not too small to where the cars are on top of each other, but not too big to where the cars get too spread out.
Well, it's always been meaningful to me. I made my first Xfinity start there with my first NASCAR race there in 2012.
The speeds are awful high in practice and qualifying, even sometimes in the race, for it to really be a true short track, I feel like.
Okay. Coach Joe Gibbs, the captain Roger Penske. No NASCAR season in history has had this few teams go to victory lane in its first 8 races. And they currently are running 1, 2, 3 on the racetrack, with Gibbs Toyota leading 2 of Roger Penske's Fords. The last 20 race winners in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series, 16 for these two.
And the only thing I'd add to that the captain has a little bit over Joe Gibbs right now is they're defending NASCAR champions also.
A few wave rounds as we finish up this caution at lap 243, 6 of them. Here's your Progressive race summary. Martin Truex Jr., one of 4 leaders, 4 lead changes, 5 caution flags, and we'll restart with 25 cars on the lead lap. Out of the race, Kyle Larson after hitting the wall in turn number 1, and they've just pushed Michael McDowell's car behind the wall as well. Lights are out. Atop the Toyota Camry XSE pace car, it's in. Truex and Logano bring them back to green.
Green flag. I'll roll here. I'll roll. Keep coming. Still I'll roll.
Looks like Paul Menard spun the tires. They're going to go
wide.
wide.
Right corner inside. Right corner. Clear low if you need it. Clear low if you need it. Clear low if you need it. Right corner outside. Outside. Outside.
Boy, that's a log jam.
That's the eye of the storm, Mike. That's where the trouble is.
There's nothing calm about it.
Still clear high.
I'll tell you who that benefited, though. That's Kyle Busch. He was on the inside. That outside lane was the one that moved forward on that last restart. This time, because of those issues on the outside, Kyle Busch was able to jump up into 5th spot.
He had picked up 2 spots on pit road. That lightning fast pit crew of his did their part, and now here is Kyle in the top 5 as we look right behind him at 6th place. Dillon and Harvick with Kurt Busch.
I said for Kyle Busch, this race was a little bit reminiscent of last week at Bristol. I was wrong. It took him all day to get to the lead there. It's only taking him half the race to get back to the front here.
Well, Jeff, you were right when you said he would need a caution flag, and his crew picked him up a few spots, and he had a great restart.
Yep. They're back in the hunt.
And you know, that's what Kyle Busch does. Whether he has the best race car or not, it's a total team effort. And they just seem to find a way, even on the days when they have trouble.
Again, though, incredible driver, incredible pit crew, and a great race car. I mean, those 3 things, you're going to overcome problems. I don't care who you are.
Yeah, but I'm not going to give it to him yet. Truex Jr., I think he's got a really good race car. We know how good Logano is on the long run. Keselowski, I mean, those guys always seem to find a way to get better throughout the race, and he seems like the best he's been all night right now.
And we're used to seeing them up front. We're not sure how good Boyer is in 4th place. He might have something to say about this. So let's go back to the restart. Paul Menard in that bright highlighter yellow number 21.
Right there, you can just see he jumps in the gas, the back end steps out.
Back that outside lineup quite a bit. Denny Hamlin trying to find somewhere to go around the outside here.
Suarez is trying to go to the inside of Ryan Newman.
Watch Denny here. He's going to dive the outside.
Boy, you break traction and get sideways, and things happen around you in a hurry. Here's some Paul Menard team audio about that restart.
They checked up, I checked up, so they went, and I went and kind of caught it in a bad angle.
All good, man. We're all good. We're doing good. Good recovery. Good form.
Yeah, when you jump in the throttle in the restarts here, first of all, you know, you've got a gearing that really will launch it. So if you don't have the car pointed straight, and if you don't build some momentum before you get into the throttle, it's real easy to get those rear tires going like he did there and broke traction.
And Mike, those first 7 or 8 cars, look at the time: 22.66, 22.71, 70, 72, 68, 78, 72. I mean, their times are identical.
Well, plus to Jeff's point, this front straightaway is curved. It's hard to be in a going straight on a restart here.
Well, and I like what Jamie McMurray brought up about, Brad Keselowski using that high grip. You try to get a long straight shot off the corners here to load up those rear tires to accelerate. But if you have any kind of steering wheel in it, whether it's on a restart or if it's on these longer runs, it immediately breaks those rear tires loose.
Yeah, well, this front straightaway, because of the way it's shaped, you're leaning on that right rear as you go down into turn one. I mean, you're really laying on that right rear. And so if you overdrive that corner, you'll heat that right rear up, and then you lose all your forward bite. So turn one is a critical turn, I think, of making a good lap around this joint.
138 laps to go. Martin Truex out front by half a second. Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series racing is sponsored by the Ford Hall of Fans. Are you NASCAR's biggest fan? Go to Ford.com/NASCAR. And by Monster Energy, official sponsor of NASCAR. 130 laps to go. New leader in Richmond. Brad Keselowski's Penske Ford powers around the outside of Martin Truex's Joe Gibbs Toyota. Just in time for our Credit One Bank ones to watch. Jeff.
Well, back in 2014, Brad Keselowski led 383 laps to win here in Richmond. Tonight, we haven't seen him have that kind of dominating performance, but he might just dominate the closing laps of this race to get a win.
Jeff, Paul Menard may not be the guy to win this race, but he qualified ninth. They have been solidly in the top 10 all night long. I know he had a rough restart, but think about this. 24 starts here, one top 10 finish. If they can close this top 10 out, what a night for Paul Menard and Greg Irwin, his crew chief.
I really like the 22 car. He's good on long run. Joe Logano, he last won here in 2017, and his crew chief, Todd Bentley Gordon, they just might pull it off.
Clint Boyer is good at Richmond. He's won here twice, once with Richard Childress and once with Michael Waltrip. Started mid-pack, he's running top 5, and with the speed in the car now, this pit crew, that crew chief, Clint Boyer is one to watch.
Martin Truex has led the most laps in 4 of the last 5 Richmond races. Could he please just win here tonight so we can find something else to talk about? That's your Credit One Bank ones to watch. Truex 0 for 80 on the short tracks coming in tonight.
That's hard to believe.
Vince?
Michael McDowell has been checked and cleared from the medical center. What happened? It's hard to tell from the replay, Mike.
Yeah, I blew a right rear tire going down into turn 1, and unfortunately it's right when I came off the wall, so I didn't have time to get slowed down. And yeah, it's real unfortunate. Everybody on the dockside logistics, Ford Mustang made good changes. We were in position to fight for the lucky dog, but just wasn't meant to be.
Thank you. Mike?
He joins Kyle Larson in the garage area early tonight. Alex Bowman 14th, battling Eric Almirola and Daniel Suarez and Chase Elliott.
I like the way you put that, Mike, because they have been battling. They've been racing all over each other, fighting for that position.
Ricky Stenhouse coming into that.
And Mike, they're racing just as hard for their position as the guys up front are racing for theirs. So, I mean, they're doing everything they can to pass each other.
Just in front of them, a couple of the Hendrick Chevys, William Byron and Jimmie Johnson, Matt.
Running in the 13th position, Jimmie Johnson pleased with how that 48 car is hooking the center. But that's not his problem. He was one of 8 drivers who had to start at the back. And that penalty continues to compound on the pit stops. 2 stops ago, he lost 4 spots trying to get into his box. And in the last stop, he actually had to back up to get out of his stall, losing time again. Pit road has been his hindrance tonight.
You watch this 48 car, Jeff. I just noticed he started to move up the track a little bit, running a little bit higher line. He hadn't been hooking that bottom like a lot of guys have. I don't know if that's going to pay off for him, but he is trying something different.
Well, I want to go back to this pit road situation. All those cars that didn't make it through inspection, they all had to pit in the same area. That's where NASCAR designated their pit stalls. So if you really look at everything tonight, the 20, the 41, the 10, the 48, those guys, the 9, they all have had issues trying to get in and off pit road all night long because of that penalty.
You saw Erik Jones in the 20. He is back in 21st place because of a long pit stop. They had to add a wheel spacer on his last stop, so that's put him well behind the group of cars he's been racing with all night.
Yeah, and Mike, he'd driven himself. He'd really driven hard to get up to where he was, and now they fall back.
Yeah, he was top 10.
Yep.
About 119 laps to go. Still plenty of time to get a good finish out of this. Chris Buescher. Now he's back to 21st. Jones has gone by him, but still on the lead lap. 25 cars on the lead lap right now. Here are your Toyota top performers. And don't forget, whichever Toyota finishes ahead of the other 4, they are linked with an owner who will get $10,000 from Toyota. Pretty cool promotion.
Watching this 2-car lead the race, I mean, I know we're right here looking at the Toyota top performers, and we see Martin Truex in here, but this cat right here, think about him at Martinsville. He had a car that was absolutely flawless at Martinsville, and all of a sudden that thing has come alive here tonight, and now he looks like the guy to beat.
Yeah, and that's what I've seen as a trend here so far tonight. The track has gone through such big swings. We started this race with a clean green racetrack because of the rain. It changed a lot just in the 40 laps of that first stage or first run, and it just seems like it's continued to progress, and guys have to stay on top of it with those adjustments.
3 Fords, 2 Toyotas in the top 5, led by Brad Keselowski and Martin Truex. $107 laps to go. Slip sliding around. Martin Truex retakes the lead from Brad Keselowski.
Boy, he did. What a battle going on here. You know, something we were observing when the two of Brad Keselowski got the lead, his front rotors are really glowing. Look how bright they're glowing right there. He doesn't have a lot of opening to those brake ducts, and I just wonder if that started to take a toll on the handling of the two-car Brad Keselowski and brought Martin Truex Jr. right back into the mix.
It could have, built those front tire pressures up, and that car started pushing, and that had cost him lost the lead here. So I think that might be a problem for him. They're going to have to put some air to those brakes.
Here's how the Coca-Cola Racing family is faring. Joey Logano in third, Austin Dillon seventh, just ahead of Denny Hamlin. Ryan Newman, Daniel Suarez all on the lead lap. Bubba Wallace 2 down. Kyle Larson behind the wall.
Yeah, I think when the two-car just was leading the race pretty comfortably, and all of a sudden this 19 goes by him, now he's going to get his teammate. Looks like he's going to maybe get up here and race with the 22 car. I believe something did happen to the two, and maybe it's building up those front tire pressures.
Jamie?
And Brad was quiet for quite some time, and as soon as the 19 got by him, he said, I don't know what happened here, but I have been building tight. So tight, didn't turn the way he wanted it to, and lost the lead.
And that's air pressure. To build up the front tire pressure, his car won't turn.
Yeah, if he could see those brake rotors, I think he'd know exactly why that thing's getting tight.
Well, guys, brake heat creates more heat in the wheel. That creates more heat in the tire, and it builds more air pressure. So I would say the brake heat is just magnifying the air pressure in those front tires, making that car tight.
Yeah, and even though this is a short track, it's a fast short track. So they want to keep those openings closed up as much as possible. Those brake ducts, that radiator opening, for aerodynamic advantages. But unfortunately, that's what's going to eliminate some of that air getting to those rotors and keeping them cool.
So you see the rotors on Martin Truex's car, and they'll light up cherry red as he gets into the corner, but they quickly cool back down before he's even into the next straightaway.
Yeah, you just get your foot off of them and the go will go away. Don't use the brakes, you won't heat them up.
You see Joey Logano, not a lot of, I mean, that's pretty normal right there on Joey Logano. Nothing like what we saw in the two-car Brad Keselowski. Those things are almost molten steel.
And let's look at Keselowski once again when he gets to turn number 3, beginning to be pressured by his teammate.
Yeah, and that's not even as much as we've been seeing. I think he's actually backed up the entry of the corners a little bit. They may have even told him on the radio of how much they're starting to see those rotors glow.
Well, his mirror is starting to get filled up with Clint Bowyer and Kyle Busch coming as well. Now look at the rear on Martin Truex.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now see, that's a bias thing. They're using, there's a lever in there that actually can put the more rear brake into it. Regan, you got something on that 19?
Guys, we picked up a radio transmission earlier on in the race on that 19 car. He was continuing to crank rear brake into that car to help it turn through the middle when he was too tight. Still a little bit too tight right now, and still cranking some rear brake to it as well.
Yeah, so when you put more rear brake to it, it's usually under braking, going to make the back of the car get looser. So you put as much as you can stand, but it also will help the car turn the center of the corner. With all this rear spoiler, I'm not surprised that some of these drivers could run more rear brake.
Second place is a battle. Here comes Logano inside of Keselowski, and that is bringing Bowyer and Kyle Busch up to them.
And back to the brake thing real quickly. Go ahead, Jamie.
Yes, and I was going back to the brake thing as well, DW. Paul Wolf is watching our coverage. He can see what's going on with the two. Told his driver, you need to dial some rear brake into that car to help us out here. So there's Paul Wolf watching on, trying to get that two-car back to performing at the front again.
I was going to say about the brakes, the fronts are made to glow. I mean, they're going to get red like that because that's where most braking power is. You start cranking a bunch of rear, the rears are not made to get hot and glow like we see, like we saw on Martin Truex. You got to be real careful. That's a fine line right there going to those rear brakes.
Here comes Bowyer to the inside. Hard to get drive off that corner, especially there was a slow car ahead. And now it's Logano once again trying to break out from third place in his number 22. We're going to break, but you'll see it all as we take you double wide on Fox. Attaboy. Clear, clear. Hit your marks. Drive off, man. That's Susie. Truex leads in Richmond, a change at second place. And back about fifth. Harvick is coming, and Bowyer is the new second place car.
And Mike, it almost looks like they flip a switch. One guy will be out there leading the race like Truex is. Next thing you know, here comes Clint Bowyer chasing him down, who looks like he's got the best car.
And Kevin Harvick, while all this battle was going on, he closed in on the rear bumper of Kyle Busch and is now past him for fifth place.
Ryan Blaney had a problem, ducked onto pit road to make a stop, but had a commitment cone violation. He's had to do a pass through, and now Chris Buescher's fine night is in trouble. He's making a pit stop, or actually, Larry, would this be a scheduled stop?
Well, we're getting close, but you're going to see right here all the right side tires. Everything has to be below that orange box, and he drove straight across it. But Mike, I think what they're going to do, we went back racing with 150 laps to go. I think they'll split it in half. So right here, when you see somewhere around 70 to 80 to go, I think that's when we'll see an outbreak of green flag pit stops, because the pace has slowed down almost 2 seconds on these tires.
Here's Erik Jones coming to the pit lane and bringing Ricky Stenhouse with him.
I really think that 12 car Blaney just, he ducked on there so late. I don't even think he was planning to come to pit road.
Tell you one thing, 19's leading, but that 14 is closing in fast.
Ryan Newman in the pit lane and Jimmie Johnson as well. Matt?
Mike, this run has been a challenge for the 22 of Joey Logano. 3 different problems. First, dirty air, the car not starting out well on the get-go, number 2. And number 3, well, that's his teammate.
That caused the fall. Way to go, Brad. Way to freaking go. Yeah, man. Come on.
Woo, teammates are hot with one another. I will say Brad has made that thing nice and wide, and looks like the 22 is going to choose to come down pit road.
Yeah, a little bump and run between teammates Almirola and Suarez coming into pit lane as well, as green flag stops continue here with 82 laps to go.
That's the tough thing about having a teammate. Your expectation of your teammate is totally different than it is someone else, as we just heard.
Chase Elliott in as well, so is Matt DiBenedetto. Matt.
And the one car, Kurt Busch, just left. Joey Logano slides to a stop. We told you earlier the biggest issue for him this run was on the get-go. That's where he lost all of his time, Vince.
There's going to be a 4-tire change for Martin Truex Jr. Has been a little frustrated with some of the traffic that he's had to deal with, but otherwise the car is pretty good. Jamie?
And Clint Boyer on the radio, they've been really working on this car tonight and it made it better. And his last thing he said was, I am trying, giving it his all, the best the car has been all night. A 4-tire stop for the 14.
So all the front four came in on the same lap, and that bump and run between Almirola and Suarez, they were both speeding coming down pit road.
And a bit of an issue, I believe, for the 18 of Kyle Busch, as we see the 2 of Brad Keselowski. Boy, he came locked up tires coming onto pit road, but an issue on pit road for the 18. I thought that stop looked pretty slow.
Jamie.
They made an adjustment for Brad Keselowski last time, and remember he said he was building tight. Doesn't look like they'll make any chassis adjustments. Just air pressure was already done, and 4 tires for Brad Keselowski.
Keselowski is away. This should cycle the lead back to Martin Truex. And he passes Keselowski's on pit road as Truex goes back into turn number 1.
Truex car is solid, man. Pretty solid.
Truex the leader, Boyer second, Logano, Harvick. Keselowski comes out in 5th. Now, prior to stops, Truex had a half-second lead on Boyer. That lead is now 2 seconds.
Yeah, he got a nice jump out of the pits there. I thought Boyer had done a nice job in the pits, but man, he lost time to the leader here for sure.
And 2 of his teammates are going to go a lap down with pass-through penalties, Suarez and Almirola.
But that 14 car, Mike, I really like the way he looks right now. That thing has come alive, and he's really fast.
Well, we got 77 laps to go here in this race, so this is going to be a long run. If no caution comes out, we're going to find out, you know, who's going to manage those tires, who's going to manage the brakes, who's going to manage traffic the best throughout this run.
Ty Dillon's team over the wall too soon. That'll be a pass-through penalty.
Tell you one thing, I know Martin Truex has got to be hoping there aren't any more pit stops, because that's where he has lost this race several times.
Keselowski, Kyle Busch, side by side into turn 1. This is now for 9th place.
2, then 1 off to the 3. Still full. 2 off, clear.
Yeah, so remember, Keselowski waited an extra lap, so he lost some time on the track through this green flag pit sequence. The 18 had an issue, and then some other cars ahead of Kyle Busch and Keselowski actually short pitted a couple laps prior to these guys coming, so they've leapfrogged them, but these guys should get them back.
And those 2 cars were Ryan Newman and Jimmie Johnson. Newman currently 6th, Johnson 8th. Clint Boyer is making up time on the race leader. That last lap, he was almost 0.3 of a second faster than Martin Truex.
Yeah, the 14 car's fast, Mike. I just noticed they've really come alive here in the latter part of this race. He's a little bit better than our leader right now and chasing him down.
And hungry.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, both these guys are, right? I mean, Truex has never won on a short track. He knows what it's like to lead, but Clint Boyer, it's been a while since he's gotten a victory, but he knows how to win on these short tracks.
Yeah, I'd say this right in his wheelhouse. Think about the race he won at Martinsville last year. That was right in his wheelhouse, and I believe this track is one of those kind of racetrack for him and that team. They really got their act together.
8th, 9th, and 10th right here as you watch from Kyle Busch.
And this just goes to show you, how important tires are by Jimmie Johnson coming in just a few laps prior to, I think it was about three laps prior to Kyle Busch, you know, just by getting out there and using up those tires for 3 laps, you have a huge speed difference versus Kyle Busch.
But I do think the 48 guys have done a nice job with that car of getting it in the shape it's in. And, you know, he's running, 10th right now. So that's a great turnaround for the way they started the race.
Jimmie's plan, fly to Boston tonight after the race, get a good night's sleep, rest up on Sunday, and then Monday run the Boston Marathon.
That's an aggressive plan, I have to say.
Nobody's happier than this weather working out for this race tonight than Jimmie Johnson. Imagine if he had to run it tomorrow.
You know, guys, I'm watching Brad Keselowski in that 2 car. Of course, Paul Wolfe is crew chief. They have 2 wins already. But by waiting and pitting as late as they did, here with 68 laps to go, I know he's in 7th, but he's almost 9 seconds behind with a lot of traffic. He may need a caution to overcome waiting so late to pit.
I think you're right, Larry, and especially if he has some issues on this long run like we saw before where, you know, I'm sure he's adjusted those brakes some, and so maybe it won't build up the front pressures as much in those front tires, but we saw where his car was really good in one area, and then he started to really lose that speed on the long run here, so he's going to need a caution, I think, either way.
Look at that 66 car they're passing, Joey Gase. That car is a tribute to great artist Sam Bass, who passed away. In fact, we lost 2 of NASCAR's most prolific artists, Gary Hill and Sam Bass, over the last couple of months. And there are just some of Sam's greatest artworks that have been on program covers. He's designed paint schemes and wraps for cars, and what a great tribute.
Great artist.
Right there.
Great artist.
A great person, too.
Yep.
One of the nicest guys you'd ever met. Oh, really close there. The 3 and the 48 went by him. I was just going to say that, you know, I was honored to drive a lot of race cars that were designed by Sam Bass.
Mike, I love Sam. He's a great guy. We were talking about this race. Aggression picks up as the laps run down. We talk about a caution. All of a sudden, it's more take than it is give, and it wouldn't surprise me if we don't have a caution.
And I think you said it, DW, you not only aggressive with making passes and just squeezing guys or using the front bumper, but also you're going to use the tires and the brakes up a lot more by being aggressive too.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, Mike, if you've been in these races, you've been out here grinding it all night long, you get a little bit tired, you get a little bit annoyed, you get a little bit aggravated, somebody cuts you off, you just think it's time to pay them back, and you do. Especially if it's the same guy doing it more than once.
Martin Truex out front by just about 2 seconds, trying to win his first ever short track race in the Cup Series. How about one more time on short track Saturday night, our last short track of the season? I think that calls for one more Crank It Up.
Yeah.
Brought to you by Progressive.
Head back, clear. Side, still full. Side tight with you. Clear. Side. Oh yeah. Side 18. Get to a flow on top. Side 18. Clear. Door, right rear, all clear. 60 to go, 60. See that 2 tops here, black and then the white. last quarter. Play left. Still there. Clear. Still clear. Still clear.
Martin Truex's lead shrinking just a bit as Clint Bowyer begins to close in. There are 57 laps to go in the Toyota Owners 400 as we go side by side. .50 laps to go in Richmond. You're watching our aerial coverage from Goodyear. Win your battles, earn your name. Goodyear, official tire of NASCAR. You can see that Clint Bowyer is closing quickly on race leader Martin Truex.
Yes, he is. He's coming.
Here's Vince on our leader.
Well, and it's certainly not lost on Truex. It's been about 0.2 per lap over the last several laps. Truex has said the car has just gotten too tight. He's trying to stay off the brakes as much as possible, but it's just not working for the 19 as the 14 closes the gap.
Martin Truex 0 for 80 on short tracks in the Cup Series. It took super speedway specialist Buddy Baker 151 short track races before he finally broke through. Won one at Martinsville.
Martinsville of all places, one of the hardest short tracks we go to. Drove the 28 car for Waddell Wilson, sat on the pole and won the race.
Well, one of the things I see happening with the 19 of Truex, because that car is tight, he's not being able to carry as much speed into the center, so the 14's gaining on him there, and then it just seems like he's got more wheel put to it, and on the exit the car then jumps loose. So definitely not to his liking right now, and he's getting ready to catch some traffic, only going to make his job even harder.
You're seeing a rare shot here. You're seeing Ryan Newman without somebody alongside. He's probably had more laps side by side than just about anybody. And Darrell Buddy did win that pole at Martinsville, but he won his first short track race at Nashville.
Wow, what year was that? I think that might have been before my time.
1973.
Well, that was my time, but
just barely.
See, that's what Jeff and I were talking about. I said, when you say back in the day, how far back are you going?
That's right.
Yeah, I say 90s.
I'm going back in the 70s.
And which day? Lap traffic ahead. Jamie?
And talking about Clint Bowyer, I talked to his crew chief, Mike Bugger-Ravitch, this morning, and he said they just weren't sure what this package, what this setup was going to need here. He said we went off old notes, pictures, and made an educated guess. I would say he made a very good educated guess. And just note, Mike on the left, he has not sat down for the last hour, standing there, listening to the spotter, Brett Griffin, talking to his driver, telling him, you're going to be better through this traffic than the 19. Let's stick with it.
Being crew chief and cheerleader. We saw him up on the box last week at Bristol, and when they first took the shot, I thought it was Bill Goldberg. You know, they do look quite a bit alike, and the WWE Hall of Famer was in Bristol last week to help with driver introductions.
Well, he's going to need Goldberg to fight off that 14, I can tell you that, because he is coming.
Well, Stewart-Haas Racing has not been to victory lane since Texas last November.
I can just see, can't you just see Bowyer in there, big old smile on his face, up on that wheel, chasing down the leader. He's having a ball, man.
Let's see, I would like to be in there to see Bowyer, because I've always wondered what he looks like when he's focused, because I've never seen him when he's focused. And I think right now he has got a laser on that 19 car.
And he is under no threat. Joey Logano is another 2.5 back. And Kevin Harvick 6.5 back. There's Logano in third. Toyota, 3 Fords. Hamlin's Toyota, the first Chevrolet, is Austin Dillon in 8th.
You did mention Hamlin. I mean, we haven't talked much about Denny Hamlin, but boy, he was mid-pack most of this race, and here he is late in the top 5, Mike, and got a good race car. So Hamlin, we're getting to go around the track with him, and it's what he sees. I love this shot. It's so realistic. This is, as a driver sitting behind the steering wheel, Mike, in the seat, this is what you see. This is your view. Looks like a street sweeper, doesn't it? That thing down on the ground.
Well, you certainly get a sense of just how fast this racetrack is down these long front straightaway.
Well, we mentioned Joey Logano sitting in third, 2.7 seconds back. What does he have, Matt?
Lap traffic has been a challenge, having to pace yourself and gap the lap traffic to make that pass. But Joey Logano is about 1.5 seconds behind Truex. He's lost the front grip in the race car. Now he's nearly 3 seconds back of the 19.
Well, he's not the only one with difficulty, because Truex is now expanding his lead just a bit on Bowyer. He picked up a 10th that lap.
Well, we talk about the big rear spoiler on these race cars. It punches a big hole. So when you catch lap traffic, you get into that dirty air. And I think that as Clint Bowyer has closed in on the 19, he started getting into some of that turbulent air, and it might have started affecting the handling on his car. But you saw right there the rear tire step out on the 19 of Martin Truex Jr. That's going to be the determining factor.
You heard Bugger-Ravitch say you're better in traffic than he is, and it's proven to be a good point, because Martin Truex had a hard time getting through traffic. Bowyer not so much.
Well, doesn't this look a lot like the last long green flag run, at the end of which Truex was sliding coming off the corner as if he'd burned up the right rear?
Exactly. It's having a very similar look, Mike, and the 14 just keeps getting better and better. The 19 looks like he's starting to get loose up off the corner. It's just a matter of time until I think the 14 gets there. What are they saying about the 19, Vince?
Well, Martin just came on the radio and he said, I am plowing. Now they're trying to pep talk him and tell him that the 14 is having the same issues in traffic, but Truex sees that 14 getting bigger and bigger in his mirror, and that handle has definitely gone away on that 19 car.
And you could see right there as Martin Truex Jr. drove down into turn 3 and 4, he tried to hook that yellow line with his left front tire, but as he got to the yellow line, the front end slid up and just could not follow that line. And that's what he means by plowing. Those front tires as he gets into the corner, they just don't want to grip. They don't want to cut the front of that car and turn that corner the way he really wants it to, and that can compound the looseness on the exit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You got so much wheel in it. You're turning the front tire trying to get the thing to hook. When it does hook, the back end snaps. So that's that pushy, loose thing that not a whole lot we can do for you right now, pal.
And you can see the 14 of Clint Bowyer, what his car is doing different. Watch it now. He starts to move up the racetrack a little bit here, but down in 1 and 2, he can follow that yellow line better than any car I've seen out there right now.
And Joey Logano begins to close. He's now within 2 seconds.
Yeah, I see Logano. These two guys are watching each other, racing each other. The 19 to 14, and here comes Logano. He's slipping back into the picture.
11th place on the right of your screen. Paul Menard, Jimmie Johnson.
Now those first 3 cars are kind of equal to each other, and they go way, way back, and you'll pick up Harvick, who's running 4th. He's pretty far back. So I don't know if Harvick's a factor or not, but the 22, the 14, and the 19, those are the guys that might settle this thing.
That last time by, Joey Logano was over a 10th faster than our second place runner, Clint Bowyer, and about a 10th from our leader.
Remember what we said at the beginning of the show, manage your tires. The guy that can manage his tires the best on these long runs is going to be the guy you got to beat tonight. Maybe Logano laid back. Maybe he saved a little bit. Maybe he didn't burn up his tires like those two cats up there racing each other.
And for Truex, he has to open those holes in the traffic and lap those cars. A little easier for those second and third place cars to do so once they've gone a lap down.
And Mike, you can just see that 19 car, he kind of drifts up off turn 4 here. That just means the car's a little bit loose for him. That's not going to work out. The 14 is going to get him.
I just think Bowyer's going to have to get creative with his line choice here. He's got to keep some clean air to the nose of that race car. He's going to have to go high and then try to cut down and get a straight shot off to get that run down the straightaway.
Well, we saw Bowyer move up. The last several laps, he's moved to the middle of the racetrack, and I think that's really helped him, and that's how he's going to get by that 19.
He closes in on him here as he hooks that yellow line. Oh, he gets off the yellow line. He slid the back of the car a little bit too much getting to the middle of the corner.
That's where he's been so good. Corner entry to the middle. He's been better than Truex there. Maybe not quite as good as Truex off, but Truex is getting loose off now.
But Jeff, how hard is it to change your line and find a different line? Because if you drive where he drives, you can't pass him.
Well, that's what's frustrating for Bowyer right now is he knows he has a faster race car, and Martin Truex Jr. is doing a great job running smooth, running that line that is the line that Bowyer wants to run. So Bowyer is having to change things up, and he doesn't like it.
But the 22, he sees these guys, and he's coming in the picture.
So guys, if I look at the last 10 spring Richmond races, the last caution average, and we're right there at it, lap 372, roughly 28 laps to go. 6 times of those 10 races, it happened in the final 25 laps, and that's where we're at. And we've had 2 overtimes, 2013 and 1 year ago in the spring of 2018.
I think Bowyer found something that last lap. He really went wide in both ends of the racetrack, and he found a little clean air and found a little extra advantage on the exit. And here he tries it again. I think it's not long. He's going to get side by side. Can he pass him though?
Yeah, well, the hunter has found the hunted now, and Bowyer. I love what he's been doing, Mike. He tried to highline, maybe he gained a little there. Now he's right on the bottom, and he's really gaining there. And I think that's going to be I thought he might be able to swing by on the outside, but I believe he's going to get that nose under the 19, maybe squeeze him up the hill.
Might need to use the bumper here too on him.
Both these drivers are hungry for a win. By this time last season, both Truex and Bowyer had been to victory lane, along with Austin Dillon and Kevin Harvick 3 times. Vince.
Clayton Hughes, the spotter for Truex, and Cole Pern, and now you see the Bowyer taking a look inside. They had told Truex, don't let him pass you on the outside, but Bowyer is just a little bit stronger, taking a look on the inside. They want to protect the outside of the 19 car. We'll see if Bowyer's strong enough to get it done inside.
Backside, and you're clear. Still out of line, looking inside. Still there.
So hard to get that drive off from the inside. Truex motors away.
Racing him nice and clean right now, not forcing the issue. But, buddy, we're running out of laps. We've only got 21 to go, 20 this time by. And then look, I think the guy that slipped into the picture, and I think he's loving every minute of this, is that 22 car of Joey Logano. He's going to be in the hunt here before long.
Here's some Martin Truex audio.
He's looking there. Protect. There you go, bud. Quit driving if I'm here, Clayton. I ain't gonna wreck. All right, 10-4. He's on your damn bumper.
Tell him, Clayton. Clayton, you're the spotter. Tell him.
These guys have worked together a long time. They know one another very well and know that they can get away with that, kind of talk back and forth. And that's just Truex saying, listen, man, I got it.
No, that's Truex saying, leave me alone. Don't talk to me. I got to focus right now. And I don't need somebody in my ear.
Yeah, but the game has changed. Joey Logano is now within 1 second of the 2 leaders.
The 3 cars are pretty equally matched. I know Logano is chasing them down, but that's because the 19 and 14 are racing each other. I don't know that one can pass the other's a problem. I think they can get there, but I don't know how they're going to pass.
Well, even right there, I think when Clint Bowyer got there and went to the inside of the 19 of Martin Truex Jr., he used up those tires. You can see he's faded now, so he's got to cool those tires back down, get some clean air to the nose, and then try to attack and get back to the 19. But he just can't do a whole lot right now with them because he's got that 22 closing in.
Yeah, 17 laps to go. We're running out of laps. This is going to get very interesting. Although Truex has been able to open back up a little on the Bowyer car.
If Martin Truex stays on the outside, can either of these other 2 drivers, Logano or Bowyer, have enough drive off from the bottom part of the corner to make a pass?
Probably not, but one thing I do believe, the 19 hadn't been that good in traffic, and Buddy, he's getting ready to run into a bunch of traffic. 14's been a little better in traffic, and I think Logano is better than both of them in traffic, so we're going to see how this plays out.
Oh, Logano, a huge run through green 4. He flew through the corner and then got a great run off.
That's trouble for Bowyer right there.
Yeah, this is going to change the game. I really think that Clint Bowyer overheated his tires racing so hard with the 19 of Truex.
I think when he went to the inside, Jeff tried to work the inside and it didn't work. It just used up what he had.
Here comes Logano inside.
Boy, it's so hard.
And as Vince said, great strategy on Truex's part. Force him to go to the inside.
Yeah, Truex might not have liked that Clayton Hughes was talking to him on the radio a lot, but boy, he gave him one key bit of advice, and that's, man, make them pass you on the inside. So far, that's worked.
Jamie?
Bowyer just came on the radio and said, I hit the wall.
Wow.
Well, I noticed he's been getting real close off of turn 2 and sliding it right to the edge, so he may have made a little contact. I doubt that's going to hurt him too much.
I don't think it did.
Well,
I think he might have scraped the wall.
Did the car hit the wall or did he hit the wall?
You never know with him.
It kind of sounds like he says he's run out of tricks.
I just don't. I've been watching this battle. Keep in mind, I didn't see him hit the wall. Maybe he kissed it, but I didn't see him hit it.
I don't think it was that wall.
I think he brushed it. No,
okay.
I do. There's just a little bit of paint taken off that right rear.
I'll take a brush.
Vince?
Well, traffic is going to be the key, and Martin Truex Jr. asked his spotter Clayton Hughes if he could help him with the 13. He said, we're racing for the win here. Clayton Hughes said, I asked. They said, probably not.
Oh.
Well, so far, probably not is exactly what's happening.
All right, Truex laps past Ty Dillon. Next car ahead is Ricky Stenhouse, a Ford, and then Chase Elliott, a Chevrolet, and then his teammate Erik Jones.
Mike, 10 to go. And this is a heck of a battle. Truex is doing a heck of a job to keep that 14 behind him.
I really think if Truex does not give up that outside lane, if Bowyer can find a way to sneak out there and get to that right rear, I think Truex is in trouble. But Truex is watching his mirror so well that he knows as soon as he gets there, he just moves up and opens up the inside.
I think traffic's going to be a factor. There are so many cars in front of these guys running side by side, racing each other for position. That could be a big factor.
We saw Martin Truex in the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte win by leading all but just a handful of laps. That was a great performance, but I think he is driving the race of his career right here, right now.
He wants to get rid of that goose egg, and he's showing that he's got the heart to do it.
8 to go.
Well, he's going to have to drive 8 flawless laps through traffic right here with Clint Boyer and Joey Logano right on his rear bumper if he's going to win this race. So if he gets it done, he earned it for sure.
Boy, here's Boyer right back on his back bumper again, and Boyer can get there. He just hadn't been able to figure out a way around.
You can see the 19 of Martin Truex. He just has to slow that car down so much in the center of the corner. That's where these guys close in on him.
Here they are, nose to tail, the top 3 coming around with 6 to go.
Now you can see Boyer sort of having to protect that outside line because of Joey Logano, but it's also given Boyer a nice run off the corner.
Hey, and another guy that's creeped into the picture, Kevin Harvick, is right here behind the 22 car. So we've got a 4-way battle for the win.
Stenhouse ahead, 5 to go.
5 more.
We could have 4 cars under a blanket at the checkered flag.
All clear, don't rush the throttle, clear. Run coming.
Well, Logano looked really strong.
The throttle down here, man, be smart. Clear by quarter, looking high.
Oh, he's going to get to the outside of Boyer.
He's got Boyer. He's got him. That outside move really paid off.
4 to go right there.
I really think Joey's going to clear the 14 here off of turn 2, but can he get to the 19 in 4 laps or 3.5 now?
Whoa, man, that was close racing off turn 2. 14 let him go.
One back a lane higher. Still 1 a lane higher. No run. He's trying to turn down.
Remember Logano, Truex at Martinsville.
Oh, man, I hadn't even thought about that.
I think you better.
Holy cow.
Joey Logano said on radio this week, I race people the way they race me. And if I move somebody for a win, I've got to expect to get moved for a win and man up.
I think Martin Truex Jr. knows what to expect this time.
Clear by 2 right there. He just rolls the top down there. 3 and 4. Clear by 2. Clear by.
2 to go.
Man, this is going to come down this final lap.
Oh, boy.
Woo, this is going to be exciting.
Logano up high, diamonds the corner to get a launch and closes a little bit more.
Get your marks down here.
I know if I'm Truex, I wouldn't want him to get to my bumper.
Well, he's there. He's on his bumper.
He's there.
The white flag waves. 1 lap to go from Credit One Bank.
Man, what do you do if you're Truex? You want to hook that yellow line, but the 22's getting a big run off the top.
It's all going to come.
He's going to get there.
It's going to come down.
Don't give him the outside.
It's going to come down to it right here.
Oh, Truex
Martin
moves
Truex makes that car wide. Short track win number 1 for Martin Truex and Joe Gibbs Toyota.
Man. Hold on. Martin Truex got that race over, and so am I.
Well, he's going to be. He's certainly going to be proud of how he had to earn that first short track win.
He drove his tail off.
It's been 25 races since Martin Truex was last in victory lane. 5th consecutive year with a victory, and he becomes the 5th driver to win in 2019.
Here, give these fans what they deserve, bud. Martin Truex Jr. victory lane at a short track.
Tonight's victory was fueled by Sunoco. Sunoco fueling victories all season long.
That was a good one, Mike. That was really a good one. You believe that JGR, Joe Gibbs, and Penske have won all 9 races.
And that's the 3rd Joe Gibbs team to win this year.
And there's why. That guy right there, the coach. He knows how to put people together.
He's a great leader.
Also, you got to love that Joey Logano didn't just stuff it in there. They ran each other clean. Good clean finish.
If we'd had another lap. We need another lap, Mike.
I'm just telling you, Martin Truex is glad that race is over with. I'm glad that race is over with. I'm not sure Joey Logano is glad that race is over with. Good job, buddy. Good job.
1 for 81 on the short tracks in the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series.
He might start clicking them off now.
Well, like I said in our Credit One Bank ones to watch, now we can find something else to talk about. Martin Truex has finally done it. Here's Matt.
And Mike, if you go back and look at Martin Truex history, his first Xfinity win came on the Bull Ring in Thunder Valley, Bristol, Tennessee. This is the one that he so desperately wanted. Cut his teeth at Wall Stadium up in New Jersey. Your family has such rich history there, but you wanted this one. How important now that you've got the check mark?
I didn't hear half of what you said. Just, you know, really excited to win here at Richmond. I've always really enjoyed this track. Don't get run over here. The car's trying to roll, but I've always loved coming here. And, you know, the short track win, everybody kept asking me when it was going to happen. And, you know, tonight we didn't have the best car, but we've lost here with the best car a bunch of times. So we just fought, we battled. Thanks to auto owners, a lot of auto owners, people here. And, you know, Toyota owners 400 to win here in the Toyotas was huge. So got my buddy up there. I just won him 10 grand. And we're just really excited. You know, everybody at JGR is doing a great job, and with Toyota, and just a blessing to drive these race cars and have an awesome team. So we've been chipping away at it, and hopefully we can get better from here on out.
How concerned were you closing laps? The 22 got by Boyer, and he was in your mirror. You guys do have a history.
Yeah, I mean, I was struggling the last 40 laps. I just, you know, I had no front turn. I just was real tight that last run. So we just had to hold them off. You know, being out front was important tonight. But, you know, thanks to the pit crew, they kept us out there. You know, they've had a tough year, tough week last week, and we beat up on them pretty good all week after Bristol. And they did the fastest stop of the year tonight. So just really proud of everyone, and really happy to get our first win with Gibbs, and definitely, you know, first short track win's pretty awesome too.
It took 20 races, but he scores his first short track win in the Cup Series. That's a big one. Vince.
Well, Joey Logano certainly made him earn it. How close were you to getting there to either get to his bumper or to get the pass completed?
Weren't you watching the race?
I sure was. I couldn't. It looked like you were there. I was waiting for the bumper, man.
Yeah, we were close. Just not close enough. Ran out of time there. I figured something out there towards the end. About 10 laps to go to make up some speed. Probably something that wouldn't last in the long run, but something to make up some speed. And got a decent run off of 2 on the last lap. I was like, man, I can figure out where I need to be here. And I thought I could maybe get to the outside and roll momentum. I don't know. I mean, I couldn't roll the bottom and get enough drive off of 4 either way. So my only move was to go up, and started getting there, and then it slid up, and I got tight, and I couldn't turn underneath them. But fun race. Just gosh, it's 3 weeks in a row. I feel like we had a car that could win the race, and we haven't won. So that's a little frustrating. But when you're frustrated with second, that's a good sign about where your team's at. So a couple little things kept us from winning, but you know, overall, I felt like we had a great car. Just a little bit of execution, things we got to clean up still.
Heck of a show, though. Joey Logano, second place, Mike.
15 100ths of a second was the difference.
Mike, he drove the wheels off that car.
Yeah, he did.
All right, victory lane after this. Jersey boy Martin Truex celebrates in Goodyear Victory Lane. Those who live up to their names make one for themselves. Goodyear, official tire of NASCAR. Add Martin Truex to this year's winners list, and that changes the complexion of the point standings just a bit. Kevin Harvick still leading those who have not yet won. Busch, Bowyer, Blaney, Elliott, the top 10. And the cutoff to make the playoffs is now Paul Menard at 16th place.
Hey, Martin, congratulations, man. What a heck of a drive. We're all really happy for you to get that first short track win. You know, we were talking up here at the end that looked like one of the best drives that we've ever seen you do. And so the reason is we know how difficult it is to be inside that car with those guys bearing down on you. But explain to everybody who's watching how disciplined you have to be and how difficult a situation that was.
You know, it's really tough, Jeff, and I don't know how you explain it other than it's like driving in the snow and trying to hit a line of 6 to 8 inches in the center of the corner. So it's just lack of grip. The car wasn't doing anything I wanted to do that last run. We got really, really tight. So being out front was really the key, and just trying to do all I could to not screw up and hold those guys off. But it was definitely really, really difficult.
Well, we think you drove the race of your life tonight. Congratulations. Go celebrate.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you, and thanks to everybody. Toyota Owners 400, so it's a big deal, and thanks to everybody on the team, man. It's been a up and down start to the year, but I feel like we've got a great team here, and hopefully we can continue to do this.
All right. The party's at Mike Barefoot's house. He won that $10,000 that Martin earned for him tonight. Let's join Jamie.
Hard-fought battle, and Clint Bowyer brings it home third, and thought for a little while this could be your night. But I heard you say you got the wall. How much did that impact your car?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, we drove up to him, and it just you get terrible tight behind people. We was already fighting a front end. I don't know. We've had trouble with this thing all weekend long, and made some good adjustments. Kind of woke it up with the rear end, but the front end still doesn't turn. You know what I mean? So everybody struggles. You know, that's what's fun about this place. It is a challenging racetrack, and I just got to him, and I couldn't keep the nose, with air on it, and it got really tight. And as I kept getting, running in his wake, he kept getting tighter and tighter and tighter, and all of a sudden Joey run us down, and next thing you know, he's on the outside of you, and the rest is history. If you couldn't get somebody got there outside, you were done. Joey got me, and I knew if I raced him door to door, Kevin was going to get us too. You know what I mean? I don't know whether I could have done any different. Those cars take off with a lot more speed than we've had all year long. We seem to run them down on a long run, but we got work to do to find a short run speed. But all in all, it was a good day for us. Just, man, damn it, you hate to get that close. But our forwards were fast again. Haas Automation, this car, I always said this car is good looking, and I want to get in victory lane. I thought this was our night, but have to wait for next time.
Clint Bowyer had a great run tonight, but it's Martin Truex who is celebrating with Joe Gibbs in victory lane. More to come from Richmond right after this.